Someone on this panel said that Toronto wasn't a real sports town. If that's true, then I wouldn't be able to throw a rock anywhere and find someone wearing a Raptors shirt. I wouldn't be able to find the ACC filled up every game for the Raptors. There wouldn't be 35,000 people every game cheering on a losing baseball club, going nuts when they win. And don't get me started about TFC, still showing up for that garbage team. And of course we have the Toronto Maple Leafs that own it all. Hello and welcome back to The House That Happened, sponsored by Shuey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke. Voted 4 times the best dive bar in the GTA. It's number 1 in our hearts. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz. How are you doing this week? In case anybody's interested, I wonder if he was talking to me with that intro. I'm just kind of confused about the vitriol and the venom and that tone of voice about the Toronto landscape. Why, do you think I have a different view of that?
Maybe. We should go back and listen to last show.
I did go back, and I'm going to say this right now.
And I didn't even start about the PWHL. Every game sold out here. We sold out a preseason WNBA game.
Hi, Toronto. How you doing today? I'm glad people showed up for the Indy. How's that?
There we go.
I'm going to just say, during the course of the show, I'm going to relate back to that intro, which I found quite interesting. And I probably found a lot of our listeners are going, tell Cruz to shut the fuck up. I'm kind of got that vibe. But I'm going to stand on my ground, and we're going to wait to see what happens as the fall comes in. Okay?
Show me a city that 100% supports their teams 100% of the time.
We're going to see this September in Toronto when the only corporate seats are at the Blue Jay games.
There's not many corporate seats there.
I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like their fan base. We got 3 million people, or not what? 3 million people in Toronto, 7 million in the GTA.
I will say, though, I've been to every game, Jays game I've been to this season, and it's been like, I think 6 now. Around the same crowd size for every game. And I haven't even been for a weekend game. It's been 30,000 in there pretty regularly.
That's a good thing. You know what I mean? And oh, by the way, I'm glad when you text me because you said the game was electric the other night.
Oh, it was.
That's a good thing to know. On a Tuesday night, or was it Wednesday night? A Wednesday night, middle of the week, hump day. And I turned up the volume on
the lowly Tampa Bay Rays are in town.
Oh, we're going to get to baseball because I'm just about beside myself about everything baseball.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
We're gonna do some meanderings about the great landscape that is the Toronto sports scene. We will delve into that along the way, and I will continue to say, bandwagon.
Not for Toronto FC.
No, okay, we'll give them the band. You're going to say, not for the Raptors.
Not for the Blue Jays.
Not for the PWHL. Nah, we'll see.
Definitely not the Leafs.
We're not even going to go there. That's a disease, I'm starting to think now. You know, permeates all this, changes the air, clouds move differently, Lake Ontario rises, all kinds of crazy shit. I'm blaming it all on the Leafs. And we'll get to Mitch later.
Well, MLSE might be onto something there, but
okay, but we'll get
in their damn corporate structure. But
did I tell you? Oh, by the way, did I tell you that I ran into someone that we talk about? Ran into Mitch Marner?
No.
Oh, we'll get.
Oh no, we talked at the grocery store.
At the grocery store.
Yeah, you talked about that a show or two ago.
Yeah. The guy's still talking about it. Which I should be doing this before I go any further. I do live in North Etobicoke, the home of Doug Ford. I'm proud to say that. There might be some listeners just spitting the ground as I said that, but I don't give a damn what you're thinking. What I want to say is, you guy walk by your house with Stanley. They all know Stanley, they all know me, and they all know I play jazz on my Bluetooth speaker. However, sometimes some of these guys have come down and goes, you know what you were saying? I look at them and I go, you watched the show. You listened to the show, didn't you? So I'm going to have to find out about 4 guys in my neighborhood who have watched the show. I talk to them at least twice a week. I know none of their names.
Oh, my God, Cruz.
I know none of their names. Hey, what are you talking about Mitch Marner like that for? I said, I'm popping them up. Like they say shit that's on the show, which is good for us. However, I'm going to, most of them live on Redgrave, that big walk around, but I have 3, maybe 4 guys that as soon as they see me, they got a crack about the show, which is a good thing, which means, yes, that we're getting through to that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because it's spreading across the landscape of the Toronto sports scene. Someone was offended that I said word bandwagon in the city, too. They were not happy.
I can't imagine why.
I'm a disciple. I just say I'm a disciple of the Habs. Well, you know, the couple guys come back and goes, I'd say something about the Lions, but they had a good year last year. I got a kick out of that. I go, this time last year, man, I'll be talking about your Lions, but I'll keep it going until the season starts. Okay? But anyways.
Do you have a shout out for your San Fran Sluggers?
Oh,
Who,
my.
by the way, for those not in the know, that is Cruz's senior men's softball team.
Okay, it's not quite the seniors men's team.
Well,
but
senior is in like adult.
an adult. Okay, so, but there is 3 seniors on the team. Okay, so I want to make a shout out to Pedro and John Bellardi. First of all, John Bellardi is a traditional Italian in this respect.
Okay.
Votes Liberal, cheers for the Leafs, will not change his mind. Okay, so John, we won't talk about anything political during the game because we'll never agree. However, he was kind of insulted that I mentioned the fact that he took a ball to the nose.
I would be too.
Okay, so
You're putting him on blast on the show.
Well, I said catch the goddamn ball. Now, however, can I just say one thing, John?
Ruthless.
John, okay, he knows I am. John, so I'm going to give you a prop right here. What happened to your game? I brought an extra glove to the game 2 games ago. He gave me his glove to use. I said, what is this piece of straw? No wonder you can't catch anything. Since I have given him my extra glove, his defensive prowess is amazing.
Is it like a proper first baseman's glove?
Not really, but it's got a deeper pocket. He says he doesn't have his proper glove. This glove was made when Willie Mays was playing, okay? So, in its day, it was a great glove. But
In its day.
Okay. The ball went right through the glove, got him in the nose. Basically what happened. However, John, you got to admit that your playing has been outstanding since you have got this glove. You picked one out of the dirt for me when my weak pop-gun arm threw it across the infield. The San Fran Sluggers are now in first place in the league. We are the preeminent team to beat. Our defense is second to nobody in the league. Once again, a big shout-out to Cody, who plays everywhere on the field. I want to give a big shout-out to
Ben Zobrist 2.0.
There you go. He plays everywhere, plays very well. Matty at third, Matty Curran.
Is he a switch hitter too?
Nah, not quite. Okay.
Close enough.
But I just want to say one thing to my son, who had a pretty good game. Used 2 hands on that horrible fly ball you dropped, son. It did not cost us anything because the infield defense was outstanding. I want to shout out to Anthony and Moko, 2 guys we put in the lineup that haven't played a lot. Their bats have been outstanding. Okay? And the word around the campfire is if you look on the left side of the infield, who do we have? We have Pedro, a senior on the mound. We have John Bellardi on first base, and I playing second. So that means that side of the infield is all 65 or older, and we're holding this team down. You got it, guys? You listening to everybody out there? Everybody that's listening, the San Fran Sluggers are having a great season, but if they didn't have the anchors of the old men, we might be a scattered crew. You know what I'm saying? A melancholy note I'd like to throw out here to Michael Moko. I don't like to bring this up because it's extremely sad, and if anybody knows how it feels, unfortunately, his brother Chris got killed in a car accident while we were playing the ball game on Tuesday night. Very, very sad. Shout out to all of you in the family, and I'm sure I'm going to see you this weekend. Very, very sad. I mean, we're always trying to be positive about the San Fran Sluggers, but sometimes real life gets in the way, and it's super sad. And if anyone knows how sad that is, I'm in that position. But in any event, outside of that, we're there to support you, buddy. I know Zach was right there to see you. Big shout out to your mom and to the family. And, of course, to the San Fran Sluggers, who just because we're beating everybody that's shitty doesn't mean we shouldn't tie our shoes, dot our T's, cross the T's and dot our I's, because we're in for 1-game elimination soon.
Yep.
And anything can happen in 1 game. So, guys, we're having a great season. I couldn't say enough about the camaraderie on this team. Is amazing. And if I didn't shout out somebody's name, who did I forget? I can't name everybody. Kyle, Anthony, Danny. Did I miss somebody? I don't know. I think I got us all. And if I missed you, I still love you. How's that?
Very well.
Okay.
Any other shout-outs?
I'd like to have a big shout out to my sisters. I'm very proud of the fact that my sister Maria got a very good filming of my younger sister Chica doing a very beautiful speech at my niece's wedding out in Vancouver. Very picturesque where they got married. It was all about love and forever, which I'm going to soon send out to Jessica, her husband, the 2 beautiful kids. It was an excellent ceremony. Really, really good job, and I'm happy for them. However, I just want to give a bigger shout out to my older sister, who, her and I, she's my younger sister, but I call her my little big sis because somewhere chronologically, maybe she should have been ahead of me. Just saying. Anyways, if you don't know my sister, I'm trying to tell her to retire in this respect. She's a high school principal. Now, let's not talk about her and I politics because then we won't even talk, okay? But that doesn't matter. We're Cruzes and we have strong opinions. But what I want to say is that her dedication to the care of kids has been outstanding. I don't think she wants me to ever say what high school that she's the principal at, but let me put it to you this way. Top 5 worst school for lockdowns and violence in the province.
Wow.
And she does this with grace and honor, respecting every kid in her school. And if there's something that she can do to give them a step ahead, personally, I don't know if I could handle the job on the level that she does. But sis, I never want you to forget that everybody in family is super proud of the fact that you're doing such an outstanding job. However, I'm going to go with your 2 sons, Michael and Chris, that says, hey, uncle, when can we get her out of that goddamn school? You know what I'm saying? That's what her son's saying. But anyways, I can't say enough about her representing the Cruz family the way that she's done. Very proud. And her husband, Randy. Big shout out to them.
Anything else?
We should have a small shout out for the daughter of Don Cherry, Cynthia, who sadly passed away in the last 48 hours. Condolences to Don and the rest of the family. Must be devastating blow when every time you lose a child before your time comes, as I well know. But big shout out to that. Probably there's going to be some kind of ceremony or whatever, or people are going to shout it out. And we should also remember the coach of the Ottawa Senators who lost his battle to cancer, the assistant coach, Bob Jones.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We got to talk about the Toronto Indy, which was last weekend. Oh, we got one more?
One more I couldn't forget. As I was talking about people that didn't know, big shout out to a gentleman by the name of Phil Hasley. He's a long-distance truck driver that goes from Bolton to the Syria round, who drives all the way to Texas. A friend of mine, Mike, and I hope you got your new place in Collingburg, turned him on to the show when we had an open call, and he's come back to say that he thoroughly enjoyed the show. He's telling other people to watch. But most importantly, he thought it was really cool that I always give a shout-out to Stanley. Now, we all know who Stanley is, don't we now?
Your pup.
Okay, so once in a while I'm going to define who Stanley is. Once in a while so everyone can get it. He's my best friend, he's my psychiatrist, and he's my comic relief. Okay, so that's why I have Stanley, and he really gets a kick out of that. But what he has done, which really I respect tremendously, is he's a guy that adopted a dog in poverty from the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Big shout out for the dog adoption, but most importantly of all, for enjoying our show and spreading the word.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mitchell, you started I know you're listening, you started a group for your bachelor party. Looking very much forward to that, whether it's Montreal, Vancouver, or some nasty cabin in the woods. I know we're going to have a good time there.
You're going to keep the vibe alive?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a good thing, you know? What's his name again?
Mitchell.
I love the name, by the way. Just don't leave any evidence of your decadence. How's that?
We'll help him out there.
Okay, I know you would.
And we'll take this over to Indy weekend, which was last weekend. I went there for the Fan Friday.
How was it?
That was a lot of fun.
Was it?
For the Indy practice, I was actually pretty surprised. The grandstands were full.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
But the grandstands were pretty full all weekend. And considering the weather was up now.
But considering it was a Friday, you're like, you don't know how many people. But it was packed. Everyone was there. It was free, I guess. So that's an incentive to skip work or whatever.
However, when I took a boo in on Sunday, the grandstand and everything looked pretty well, like it was a happening scene. You know what I mean? God bless Toronto for putting it on. I'll never like the track.
It's an okay track. It's just where the track is.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm getting at, okay? Maybe that's...
there's not much runoff, and the roads, the surface is all uneven. You're dealing with different cements and concrete. And
I wonder what their tire issues are.
Well, they do have special tires for for road courses, for street circuits. But, I know Toronto's one of the worst ones on the calendar for that. The drivers like coming up here. I don't know how much they like that track specifically, but either way, we got to give a shout out to Colton Herta, the young Californian, won the race and led every session. First time that happened in the race's history.
I had heard about that. Outstanding performance by him. And I guess you know why they're all here? Because they love the Toronto landscape, the sporting landscape. That's why they come here. Isn't that why? All those fans coming out, supporting everything all the time. We got to support the Indy too.
Exactly.
However, we should give this guy a big shout out because the accomplishment he did at the weekend is rare.
Yeah. First win for him in a long time. I know he was a driver that Red Bull had their eye on for F1, but I don't know. I feel like his F1 chance may have come and gone, though.
different car, different situation, different team dynamics, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Anyway, give the guy congratulations. Give him his flowers. Great race. I don't think the attendance broke a record.
No, I think that was after COVID. That one was the record breaker.
However, it was like the percentage difference is less than 5%. I'd heard somewhere along
still
the line.
Major success.
Yeah, major success. And because Toronto is such an outstanding sporting landscape.
Oh, you don't say.
Just bit my tongue, damn it.
IndyCar's big. People will show up for that here. There's a huge racing crowd here. A lot of it was interesting seeing like which of the F1 shirts you saw there.
Oh, did you see some?
A lot of McLaren, a lot of Mercedes, a lot of Ferrari.
Well, what I had heard too is that there was another race going on last week or the week before where the Indy went back to the oval in
Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and I heard that was just a crazy race because they haven't used this track in a number of years.
Maybe it wasn't Mid-Ohio because they did. The
Michigan 400 is always.
Maybe it was Michigan then.
They haven't had an opener. They redid it. But anyways, I heard that had some of the highest drama of racing this year. I actually seen the highlights. And it's cool that they got to rock that oval the way it is. Like, that's kind of interesting, but I'm not going to sign up to be there every week.
IndyCar's cool, though. I just wish their marketing was...
How loud was it down there?
Oh, thank God I brought earplugs, put it that way.
I was going to ask you...
One of our drivers at, our couriers at work recommended that. And I was like, Jason, thank you. That was a good tip.
Well, you know what? If I went down, I would have probably forgot to bring earplugs, but everybody I know says...
But you can buy them there.
Well, that's what I probably would have done. Now, I'm a guy that says it's never loud enough. Be careful what you wish for.
Oh, I was wearing earplugs. I'm like, damn, this is still loud.
I can just imagine when they're coming by the roar. Eh?
Yeah, and I kind of took them out just to see what it was sounding like. Yeah, that's enough. Some of the cars were pretty interesting though. So it was mostly practices they had, but there was one qualifying session we caught and one race that we caught. So the qualifying was it was the Canadian Sports Car Series. Cruz, 3 of the cars there. I don't know why they bothered entering. They're just Hyundai's off the dealer basically. No rear wing, just And
stock. How did they compete?
They were way back. Although the race was pretty cool. They were these open cockpit, closed wheel cars. They kind of look like the cars from Speed Racer or something. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. That must have been interesting.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Is it the same drivers or different drivers?
They're different
completely
series.
Different series, yeah. That's cool. I would have dug that. You know, when I was a kid and I grew up in Nova Scotia, I used to go to the stock car races every week because it was free.
Like CASCAR? Or
the old-fashioned on the dirt.
Oh, yeah.
This is in the late 60s. I'm showing my age. But I used to be fascinated by that. It was an old dirt track out in the middle of the field in Nova Scotia, somewhere I think it would have been Musquodoboit, somewhere around there, just outside of New Glasgow. But you climb up in the hill, and sometimes what was really cool about it, some of the drivers would see you, and they'd pick you up and put you on that. You know how the truck would be kicking the car and it's on the flatbed? Well, sometimes when they see us kids picking up, they'd grab us by the arm, pull us up in the flatbed, and let us drive up to the track while we're beside the car, which is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, it was stuff you never forget. You know, there's certain things in life you don't forget. I was beside the car called King Kong. I'll never forget it. It never won. It was the coolest looking car, but never won. I don't know why. But black. It was almost like Steeler colors, the rims, everything was black, but it had a little yellow.
Gold, yeah.
Yeah, a little gold in it. It was pretty cool, but that's what brings everybody to the racing because at times it is extremely exciting, which is probably going to lead into what?
Of course, we have F1 to talk about, a crazy Hungarian Grand Prix yesterday. McLaren 1-2, the first time they've had this since... Oh boy, probably since Lewis Hamilton raced for them in the late 2000s. But Oscar Piastri winning his first race of his career, the 7th race winner this season, and none of them are Sergio Perez.
To me, this was an educational race for me. Now, I'm going to explain it in this way. There's a lot of people that have said to me, oh, Mr. F1. Mr. Milani, I get it a lot.
Yeah.
I get it a lot because, where were you 5 years ago? Well, when you discover something new, you move on. It's like finding out a new band. Find a new band, you fall in love with them. I think that's a good analogy. This was a learning experience for me in a lot of ways. And I'm going to say, and you can say the guy's name that wiped out in qualifier. Tsunoda, okay.
He wiped out in the race, too.
Okay. He had a rough weekend, okay? We know that. So... to me, it all started in the qualifying. I think that had a huge effect on the race in this way. You explained to me when they pulled out that red flag, That went off, and they were saying it on the air. Should have they put it up that quick? Shouldn't have. Because there was 3 or 4 guys, including Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sergio, and Alonso, who were all trying to make their run in that last 2 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, so the cars are going on the track, they're heating up, and away they go. Now they got to come all the way back to 0, and they got 2 minutes to go back out in the track, and nobody got back up to the speeds they were there because they didn't have the time. So, in my opinion, the pole positions could have been different, even though McLaren seemed to be
McLaren was the
car.
fastest car, though.
Okay, well, we're going to say that. But I'm still saying that the positioning of the top of the race could have been different due to the flag that came up at a weird time in the safety. Now, you're saying, no, I'm an amateur.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. Because even, Lando was on pole, and he was the fastest all weekend.
Okay, we got you. I got you. Okay, now, there was a little bit scramble of people going behind what was doing. Now, the English guy that used to race with the blonde hair, he's always on the commentary. Who is that guy?
Jensen Button?
Yeah, is that the guy's name? He was the one that got my attention because he was the one that said the red flag. They did the replay. You know how they showed the replay? They showed the clock, the timing, and the running. And I went, ooh, this is interesting because now this has affected the order of the race due to the fact that Sonoda, whatever his name is, he screwed up badly. Like, what was he doing, you know? Like, come around the corner, you forget to turn the wheel? I don't know. Wrecked the car.
Yeah, he's been making a name for himself doing that, unfortunately, which is why I don't think he's ever going to get that top seat in Red Bull. It's going to cost him too much money.
Bottom line is, I give him this. He was going for it when he wiped out. Obviously, he was trying to improve his time. He didn't quite get it, and he went off the track. So, now we have the pole position. We got the race the next day. Let's talk about the race the next day.
So, going into the first corner, it's 3 wide, Lando, Piastri, Max. And Oscar just pulls away, right?
Great positioning for him because he smelt Max. Lando should have been looking at Pastriani or whatever. Piastri. I never get their names right. You know what I'm talking about. Lando, I thought, was concentrating on Max and not his teammate. His teammate
was kind of caught in the middle.
But Oscar made a great move. He made a great move, and he pulled into the front.
Well, Max kind of impeded him, impeded Lando, I should say.
Don't say nothing bad about Max. So don't say about impeding and cheating.
He's the villain. You admit it yourself.
I don't care. He's my boy. I'm saying he does no wrong.
He held up Lando. He gave the spot back, but that obviously had an effect on the start of the race. Let's not kid ourselves.
Kinda, sorta.
Of course it did.
Okay. So
he's in a slower car that was ahead.
Okay, but they pushed him off, and he had to come back on, and he begrudgingly...
Well, either that or take a penalty. So, give the spot back.
Okay, which he thought he was going to do. Now, tremendous action throughout the race, including Max trying to pass Lewis Hamilton with Buddy on his ass. Leclerc on his ass. So you've got Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari going, and we got the guys going up front doing their thing. Now, there was a little bit of an incident before we get to the final.
Yeah.
Max's car left the track.
Oh, he jumped. His car jumped.
And he got it back down and kept it in control.
So basically it was on turn 1, you basically like Lewis had the inside line and he basically went into him and then Max's car flew up in the air and went into the runoff.
And he still came back on. That was an amazing move, don't you think?
What do you mean? He lost a position.
So what? He still
Leclerc passed him right away. I thought that was Max being a little overzealous.
I love it.
You like him losing points?
No, I didn't want to lose the points, but I thought you only have certain places on this track you can make your moves. We discussed that last week.
Yeah, but that wasn't the time.
Okay, so I'm not going to say this. A couple weeks ago when the race was on, you told me that Max was being a little greedy about letting people get by and pushing them out and stuff. What was Lewis Hamilton doing?
He was defending his line.
Oh,
he gave Max plenty of space. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, let him be, pass me.
I'm not
what should he do?
That. I'm just saying that.
Lewis played that perfectly.
I thought it was great competition. Okay, I'll
and Max just drove into him, and he got fucked. Sorry, Max, no podium for you.
Oh, stop it. I'm just saying this. A couple weeks ago, you argued that Max was going across. He crosses the line better than everybody. You admitted that on the show. Okay. I thought Lewis was a couple times was getting close to crossing the line. Look at the race a couple weeks ago. Where was it in? Not Silverstone, the other one before that, where it was tighter. And then the same thing happened, and Max was kind of doing that shit, and he ended up getting a warning. Remember, he got a warning? Lewis didn't get a warning, but you're saying the track was different. And
he was giving him space, and he wasn't moving on braking, so I don't know what you could be upset about.
Because Max didn't get on the podium. What else?
So was Austria. That was before
Yeah,
Britain.
the Austrian one, yeah. Remember they had that little battle there, and then in the end he got some things there. So I'm a little confused about to get that. Remember, I'm only...
You're not allowed to move under breaking. That's the big thing.
Okay, so I'm only in grade 6. You're Harvard. Let's discuss.
Wow.
Let's discuss where we are in this, which gets us to the meat of the story.
Yes. So, obviously, like I said, Oscar won the race. Lando finished second. But the big drama was that on the pit stop, Lando got the undercut. Came out when both of their pit stops were done. Lando was 3 seconds ahead. McLaren tells him, you got to pull aside for Piastri.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this all week.
Me too.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? So we're talking about the highest level of competition. At this point in time, Lando's car was running faster. Okay?
Lando was faster the whole weekend.
Okay, so there you go. And Buddy went out.
And he played it perfectly with his pit stop. Because, like, at first I'm like, well, maybe, like, McLaren should have done, like, a double stack. Or maybe, like, I don't know. They should have found a way to put in Piastri right away. But if you look at the way Lando's tires were, he had to pit at that time. So I think he just played it perfectly.
Okay, so what I think it is this is the second time McLaren blew the race at Silverstone with screw-ups in the thing. This is a team thing that they created the drama.
Oh, 100%.
They created this all themselves. Now, you got in a position where a guy's running the fastest car. He's had the best car in the weekend because a guy made a move in the very first lap of a 72-lap race. Okay, buddy, go back in first place. I'm having a little bit of... I'm trying to grasp how that works. They said it was about the team. Okay, I get it. But when you heard the drama that was going on the radio, and it went viral all over everyone, even if you weren't interested in F1, everybody was listening to the drama, and Lando let him know. Did you hear the last thing he said when they crossed the finish line?
Yeah.
Let's not talk about this. What did that tell you?
Oh, you can even see it this weekend with the Belgium stuff. He's still cranky about it. Thank God for McLaren summer break is right around the corner because you have a month to kind of
chill
figure
your
this
asses
stuff.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you think that it was proper? Now, here's one of the things you got to realize. Sometimes this year is going to be tighter than the tightest year in years. The constructor standings and the
drivers' championship.
And the championships, okay? So they get down to the last race and Max wins and he beats Lando by 3 points or something like that. You don't think Lando's going to be a little freaking burr in his ass? He was winning. He won the pole. He had the fastest car in all weekend. But because of one move at the beginning of the race and then a weird decision by the McLaren team, how they were bringing the guys into the pit stop, they created their own drama and a fight between their own guys, which I don't know. Because what they did
if McLaren really wanted Piastri to win, they should have double stacked. Like, the minute they got the word about Lando, come in, they're like, Oscar, you're in two then. If they really wanted to give him that win. Because giving Lando the undercut didn't make any sense if you want Oscar to win.
That's what I'm saying. It was kind of weird for me because then he had the fastest car. Now, let's get back to my favorite guy on the planet. They replayed it during the show about 2 years ago when Max was in that position. Did you hear Max on the radio? And Max wasn't a good boy.
No.
On the radio in this race. Everybody knows that part too.
Oh, that's one thing we failed to mention is just like he probably sounded his most how should I put this, bitch-like.
He was irritable. He was irritable. There's a
He
difference
sounded like
he
sounded like he wanted to fight his engineer.
Oh, you think?
I thought he was going to pull take that back, the whole pit wall.
Okay. And when he went by, he had some things to say. Because, I've never heard someone say, Max, you're being childish. Right on the radio. Do you think it's interesting that they allow us to have all of that access to the radio during the race?
I love it.
Oh, I do, too.
Well, because it's public for the other teams, too. They can access it. So why can't you put it on the air?
Oh, I think that increased the drama that ensued during the whole race with Lando obviously being pissed off until, what did they say? The team. Lando, the team. And Lando's pushing another second ahead. And then he finally
tell him to catch up. Now, I think Lando didn't do himself any favors there. Like, either do it right away or just don't do it at all. Be like, fuck you, this is my championship, or be a team player. Don't play this game. Like, the Lando, you proved your point. Like, that was great drama there. But, come on, buddy. Like,
okay, now,
what are you doing?
That's when I'm saying I never got that angle. Until we mentioned it in the pre-production, whatever. When you put
because there was an infamous one Red Bull back in the day of Vettel and Webber, where they were telling Vettel "Hey, move over for Webber," and then Vettel's like, "Fuck you guys, this is my race, this is my championship."
Yeah. Okay. So that British guy that does the commentary, He went off. Yeah, Button. He tried to explain it as diplomatically as he possibly could because it's about the team. But at the end of the year,
yes and no.
That's
F1, it's a weird dance that way.
That's what I'm saying. The learning experience.
Yeah, because what other sport is your teammate your biggest rival?
Yes. Okay. So what I actually did, again, being the PVR nonsense person that I am, if you come to my house to watch a sporting event, you might see rewind manually in my house, not the one you're watching on there. You might see me rewind it 2 or 3 times. So I went back and I rewound it to actually listen to the whole interplay between the McLaren team, Lando, and Oscar. It was just something out of a book. You couldn't have written anything like, let's have some drama today. This wasn't like...
The Oscar's like, oh, is he going to move over?
Oh, yeah. He sounded more like a little bitch then. I want my race.
Well, okay, they did say that was the plan. So you're probably, if you are in Oscar's position, you're probably like, what the fuck, to be fair. This is what we agreed on as a team. That being said, Lando played this masterfully. It was his race to win.
Of course.
Oscar, like, congratulations on your first win, obviously, but, like, I think it was going to come anyways.
Eventually.
Probably this season, the way the McLaren is going.
And I'm really glad about this because if you talk about the beginning of the season, I'm the Zach Brown guy. Mm-hmm. I love that guy. You see him there, like, and he flashed on his face. You couldn't tell if he was smiling or smirking or like, what the hell is going on?
Probably a mix of all three.
He didn't look like he was getting ready to go for a beer.
No.
Okay, you know what? And then you see the engineer guy that when they flashed on him in the McLaren thing, that guy's face was like stone. Because who was the one talking into him? It was the engineer talking to Lando saying, hey, buddy.
Yeah, that was Lando's engineer.
Yeah, it was saying that. And it created great drama. My thing is this. First of all, everybody out there that is saying about what you're talking about F1, this is the highest level of competition. Okay, we may be Toronto-centric, but when we're talking about, and later in the show in our meanderings about this is the highest level of competition. We've seen the highest level of drama and acted organically. This wasn't self-whatever, let's produce something that's going on. With that being said, this kerfluffle raced its way across a lot of sports shows in North America. So I just want to say one thing, and to the players on my baseball team that kind of heard what was going on, I'm going to tell you this. It surprises me that all these people that seem to diss F1 are giant WWE fans. Wait a second.
You can't account for taste.
There you go. No, let's take it one step further. That's organized drama. They know what the drama is before they even get to
Okay, but I think wrestling fans would be able to tell you that.
Okay, so then how do you diss something that's real competition at the highest level? I'm going to put this to an IQ level.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
I'm not going to go there. But
I will. So I'm just not going to say no disrespect to Hulk Hogan, but I'm going to watch Max before I watch Hulk. That's the way I'm going to put it, okay?
I want to get back to Red Bull. So more concerned looks on that pit wall than I've seen in a long time. Especially they kept showing the racing strategist, I forgot her name, and Max's engineer. Them like a lot of bouncing knees and shaking pens. And
Christian didn't look like he was too happy either.
Of course not.
You see, I've never seen him look like that during a race.
I think he's realizing his foothold on the championship might be slipping away.
I don't know yet. They've got a whole season to go there. Now, I just want to
There's a whole third of the season left. That's plenty of points up for grabs.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something, and you can reach across the table and smack me if you don't like this. One thing I said at the beginning of the season, the races will decide upon themselves what kind of drama and situations we're going to deal with. Disappeared the whole Christian corner talking about, which we don't have to bring up.
Although behind the scenes, Red Bull does kind of look like they're falling apart. Because Max looks like... why wouldn't he go to Mercedes in a couple years if the issues keep going there?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that I said that would all go to rest. Now, you've got an interesting point because we do hear some rumblings behind the scenes.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Sergio Perez is standing on shaky ground. Let's put it that way. He had a decent showing this race.
And he's Christian's guy.
Exactly. So he's on shaky ground. If you come out for the first time, you understand. If you're understanding about the constructor points, the racing, the driver standings and all that, this guy's on shaky ground, considering where Red Bull has been, especially in the last few years, which will play itself out.
And another race where he couldn't get past Q1.
Yes.
And there's some serious talk now about his replacement options.
The kid's coming.
Lawson?
The kid's coming.
He's a wild card, though. So there's three options, basically. There's Ricardo, there's Sonoda, there's Lawson. Ricardo's the safe choice, obviously.
Yes.
Probably going to get you... I mean, is he going to be worse than Perez? Probably not at the way he's going. He's probably going to nab you a few podiums. But is he going to win you many Grand Prix this year? Probably not as well. There's Yuki Tsunoda, who's going to cost you a lot in damage. So I don't think... And Red Bull has never been high on him, despite him being 11 points higher in the championship than Ricardo. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, there's Liam Lawson. Raced 5 races last year. Very, very good. However, he only has those 5 races, so he's a giant wild card.
Agreed. Wouldn't this be a spectacular story if Ricardo jumped back into a seat at Red Bull?
I think that's the most likely option.
I know, and I think that he's paid his dues. He's actually raced very well considering the car that he's been in.
I mean, yes and no. Considering, I mean, Tsunoda's gotten much more out of that car. That's the thing. You got to look at teammate to teammate, right? And his highest points total from a weekend didn't even come from a race. It came from a sprint.
Okay, I got you.
Because he finished 4th in that sprint, and then he has like
2 9ths.
A 9th and a 10th, I think.
A 9th and a 10th, yeah. Well, anyway, he's got some points, is it regardless as they are. I just see that was
a little inconsistent.
Yeah, maybe. But I just think it would be a fantastic story if suddenly next season we start Ricardo's over there with that big teeth smile.
Or maybe when they come back from summer break, depending on how the Belgian race goes for Perez.
Because they can switch them like that, right?
Oh, yeah, because the Red Bull drivers are on contract with Red Bull, all of them.
All of them, yeah.
So, yeah, they could easily swap them out if they wanted to.
That would be a slap in the face for Sergio Perez.
They've done it before.
Well, it's a cutthroat business.
They've done it with Albon. They've done it with Gasly.
Yes, you're right. And now
they've done it with oh my God, who was the Russian that they had?
He was terrible.
Kvyat?
Yeah, he was terrible.
Nah, I wouldn't say so.
Where is he at now? Nowhere to be found. Okay, that's my point about that.
He raced pretty good when he was on the top team, but then Max just took his seat.
Max is the man. Can I say that one more time?
I get that, but then you left Ricardo there too, who had his issues after.
Well, Ricardo was a little bitch at the time. I thought, his ego got the better of him, and look where we got him.
Oh, I agree. You
know what I'm saying?
Kvyat's a very good driver.
Oh, I agree.
Just because you don't have an F1 seat doesn't mean that you're shit.
No, I'm not saying. There's only 30 seats or what?
20.
20 seats in the whole goddamn thing. So
a lot of it comes down to politics.
And how many billions of people on the face of the earth? There you go. Anyways, we got to. I'm very happy because this time last year we were going through the motions.
Well, hold on. We got a lot more to talk about.
Oh no, but
here.
I'm saying, we're going through the motions. But yes, you should bring up the
Red Bull telling Max to cool it with sim racing.
That's an interesting call, eh?
Well, I mean, think about it from their perspective. Max is up to like 3 a.m. the night before doing a sim race, gets up early the next morning to do a sim race. Oh, and guess what? He's very cranky that day of the Grand Prix.
Did he sound cranky? I just didn't think he had his Bailey's coffee. If he had his Bailey's coffee, he would have been just fine.
Do you promote drinking and driving? That's not good.
No, that doesn't affect your driving. It's just one.
Bailey's, it's booze.
I had 2 Bailey's coffees this morning.
You don't drive.
Oh, one day I'm going to tell you the kids brought it up again about my famous ride to Molson Park when they were kids. I'll tell you that story another time.
Oh, my God.
In the Bronco. Not going to say anything about my position with my license at the time. We won't even bring any of that up. But
oh, my God.
Okay, but in any event, I thought it was very fascinating because Max can't get away with that because he's on a simulator that's online.
Oh, people can see when you're logged in on iRacing. When he plays iRacing.
So he couldn't say nothing about it because there his name, what was it? Last time he was at 2:40 when he logged off and he logged back on at what? 8:45 or something.
You got up pretty early to do a sim race.
Didn't he have time for his girlfriend in between then? Like, buddy, you got a hot girlfriend. Like, what happened? Does she stay at home? So you
don't bother me, babe. I'm racing.
Don't say nothing bad about my guy, Max. I love him. You know what I love about him most? That smirk on his face. You don't know if that smirk is happiness or if that is fuck you. You can't tell the difference with the guy.
I think you can tell.
When he opens his mouth, you can tell. That's when he's at, right?
I think Max is the guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. I think you always know what he's thinking.
That's what I'm saying. He's real. As all the sporting guys in the world. And you know what? He's a great soundbite after the show. He doesn't give your traditional things. He says what he's thinking. I wonder, like you said, that makes the lane, the lane for Red Bull when they're going by. And like you said, knees shaking. Stone faces, no smiles.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think you brought up the Christian Horner thing before. I don't think it's any coincidence that happened in their house is kind of falling apart in the same season.
We'll find out by the end of the year. How's that? You should bring up the other huge.
Well, and also I want to mention Perez. Last time he was on the podium, April 21st in China. That was the 5th race of the season.
2 years ago.
No, this season.
This season, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Because he had 4 podiums in the first 5, but since then he hasn't been anywhere to be found.
Wow.
Really unfortunate. I will give Ferrari a faint passing grade for this past weekend, a 4th and a 6th result. Leclerc, obviously a bit of a beneficiary of luck of Verstappen's mistake, but I mean, hey, you got to seize your opportunities.
I was thinking about you when I was seeing what Ferrari was doing, because not that you're a big Ferrari fan, but you're a big Ferrari fan.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so when you see what was going on, I thought, okay, Milani, you got your Milani with an I.
Thank you.
That's an inside joke, people. And anyways, the bottom line is what we were saying again.
And they caught a break from Russell failing to qualify for Q2 either.
What's going on with him?
I just think that was bad luck because the red flag too.
Yeah.
I think he was the one that caught the worst luck there.
Yeah, along
because Mercedes was probably the 3rd fastest car last weekend at Hungary.
Agreed. And then he didn't even get nothing, which helped your Ferrari team because that's
Big time.
points that they lost.
Mind you, McLaren, or Mercedes rather, they're pretty far back the top 3. Or like it's still 80 points, but that's a long way to go. Yeah.
At 25 points a race?
Well, 20, for the winner. Mm-hmm. Fernando behind Lance Stroll again. Third time in 3 races.
Is that a team thing?
I don't know. I can't decide if this is like Fernando like kind of losing his edge or if he's just like, fuck these guys. Like he's just like not motivated.
I'm going to the latter.
I want to say that because I love Fernando so much, but he's also the oldest driver on the grid and not by a small margin.
No, I agree. But then again, we got to look at the dynamics of that team and who owns it.
Yeah, but he's not going to hand over the points to Daddy's boy.
Seems to be that way.
No, I just think he's getting outraced.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Stoll's
Fernando's not the kind of guy to like, oh yeah, let me get my teammate these points. That's not Fernando.
I don't think it is.
That's not Fernando.
Maybe it's the makeup of the car.
Fernando, 1 race away from being the 2nd Triple Crown winner ever in sports.
There you go.
Or in racing.
Point well taken.
Do you know who the only one is?
Schumacher?
Nope. Triple Crown is Monaco, Indianapolis 500, and Le Mans.
Villeneuve?
No. Villeneuve never won Monaco.
Okay, so let me give him one more shot here. I said Schumacher. No, it wouldn't be.
It's an old school guy.
I was going to say Jackie Stewart.
I don't know if he ever won.
Not Aaron Senna, but the guy that got burned. Nicky Lauda?
No.
Who?
Graham Hill.
Oh, God, yeah. Englishman.
Yep.
From back in the day, yeah.
First father-son to win F1 championships, too, with his son Damon.
There you go. Pretty interesting.
Yep. And Fernando just kept getting worse at Indianapolis, unfortunately. So my parents were in Montreal this past weekend, right? Mm-hmm. So they were watching the race on RDS, the French equivalent of TSN, right?
Yep.
So when they go to commercial, they actually have a Lance Stroll watch there. It shows where he is on the track, who's ahead of him, who's behind him. I don't know if there's like lap times on there or whatever, but I thought that was very funny.
I think it's very, what would you call it? Parochial? Is that the word? Because he is the only Canadian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all that nonsense, which it makes it more interesting. I am an RDS fan because I'm a disciple of the Habs. So
you have to.
There you go. So I'm down in that station quite a bit. And they do things a little bit different. They are French.
Yeah, they are Quebecois.
They are Quebecois.
But just to wrap up this race now, McLaren, arguably the best car on the grid right now. Should be very, very interesting the rest of the championship. But we have, so obviously Spa is the race this weekend. I caught Q1. Was very interesting.
I'm going to watch when I go home. I'm going to watch that and the qualifying. As soon as I go, I've got the PVR running, bro.
And then it's summer break after that, or as they call it in Italy, Ferragosto. Because no one works in Europe in August. It's true. It's true. Like, I'm
not going to say nothing.
At work right now, this is kind of like our final chance to, because in a couple of weeks, we're not going to be able to have any contact with our European.
Just shuts down, eh?
Yep, basically. And we have a mouse at work, by the way.
What?
There's a mouse in the office.
Got to catch that mouse.
I know, we're bringing mouse traps on Monday. So.
Okay, interesting. So keep him out of the wine.
Yep. Oh, don't believe me, he's not getting in there. Mattia Binotto is taking over Sauber/Audi starting in August. Andreas Seidel, the former head of McLaren, is stepping down. It looks like there could be some management issues there with Audi. I don't know what's going on, but this is already not a good start to their program, which is going to start in a couple years.
Do we ever going to get the peek behind the door to see what's happening? Probably not.
Probably not.
But there's a lot of
There's
speculation.
a little bit of a mashup, a little bit of a change up there at the top.
Basically, a lot of it's over money.
Of course it is.
It's about the number one thing is the money and sponsors. Like I heard that English guy. What's Button his name?
Yeah.
God, does he know a lot, eh? I think the girls are kind of like, I don't want to say they're wallflowers because they kind of know their stuff. But the guy that makes most pertinent points to me is him. And for all
he's a world champion. He's definitely plugged into all areas.
Thank you very much. So for all the people that says that sometimes we spend a little bit more time on F1 than you watch Monday Night Raw. Okay?
Okay, stop it. We went there already.
I can't help myself.
Just a couple more things. So Alpine rocking the Deadpool livery for the movie this weekend. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds is an investor in Alpine.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. And then there's talk of AC coming in the cars.
That's an interesting thing. I'm wondering how that's going to work. Where do you put the unit?
Back with the engine.
So what is it going to do, blow in their back?
Probably that
They're
or
an
the
open
floor.
air car.
Yeah.
So
it's probably cold air is kind of like going to come in from the bottom.
So therefore, it's going to change like you said, the weight of the car.
The weight's going to be the most affected, yeah.
Okay, and not only that, but what are the apparatus is going to use? They're going to have to use like a battery something.
Well, the car already has a battery, so you can just draw from that.
But isn't that so supposedly sometimes they say about when your battery power is needed for this or that?
Well, they'll have to change the battery. This is probably still a couple. This won't come in time for the next regulation set in 2026. This is probably like beyond this in 2030, 2031, whenever they decide to change.
Wow.
But you'll just have to accommodate, have a battery that can accommodate all that. Shouldn't be too difficult. Obviously, like at first I thought this was a little bit silly, but then you remember the Qatar race from last year where was it Stroll puked in his helmet? Ocon had to retire because he thought he was going to pass out. Like, that's dangerous.
Well, anytime you have...
When you're driving rocket ships, you don't want a guy passing out.
And not only that, at that time of the year when they have it, it's one of the hottest times. Well, Qatar is hot on a daily basis. But when you're talking about that level and in the car for that long, wow.
Yep.
Driver safety.
Absolutely. So we spent a lot of time there on F1, obviously, but it was a race. So
I liked it.
We'll move this.
Roman Reigns. I liked it.
Roman Reigns.
I think that's his name, isn't it?
That is a wrestler, yes.
Okay, yeah.
We'll take this to our Toronto FC and our Toronto Argo watch, where our Toronto FC won in Montreal 1-0 last weekend. My parents almost were thinking about going to that game.
Really?
Richie Larea getting the lone goal in the 38th minute, assisted by our Italian Lorenzo Insigne. Sean Johnson with his 5th clean sheet of the season. MLS now moves to Olympic break. Will resume August 24th at Houston. TFC is 8th in the Eastern Conference with 30 points and 12 matches left.
I don't even want to talk about them much more because I really just think they've disrespected their fan base. I'm
a little optimistic now that they have guys like Osario and Larea back now.
Agreed.
Some of the national guys.
Okay, I'll give that the benefit of a doubt.
They should still make the playoffs.
They're in a precarious position, and I know a couple of their, like I think 3 of their next 5 games are winnable. Mm-hmm. But then they got to play the top teams. I think one of the top teams right away on the road, which I don't think they're going to win. But as you already mentioned, they better defend the den.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key to whether or not they make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Home field's going to be very, very important down the stretch.
Huge. And big shout out to all the TFC fans that are keeping the Toronto landscape just the way that you believe it is. How's that?
Absolutely.
Enough, TFC. Give us a show. Give the fans what they deserve.
On to the roommates, Toronto Argos, who lost a tight one in Hamilton on Saturday, 27-24. They will play Winnipeg at home on Saturday. I know Serge and the guys are setting up their tailgate there. I tried to convince my friends, but no one wanted to come to that game.
In any event, let's shout out to all the tailgaters that are still representing Shoeys down there. And we're in Shoeys once again, as where we always record.
The Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Thank you very much. And not only that, the fact that they're down there now, as we speak, generator, barbecue, weights, and beer.
And a football.
Yes.
Argos currently 3-3, 3rd in the East right now. Would have to play 4-2 Ottawa in the East semis in Ottawa, if that's the case.
In Ottawa. But let's talk about, first of all, what we should mention this is when we're talking about the CFL and we're paying more attention to it.
Chad Kelly?
Not yet. Not yet. We just showed out to BC and Saskatchewan Because with Montreal, they seem to be the preeminent teams in the league.
Although Montreal's quarterback is hurt now, Cody Fajardo.
Yes.
So maybe opens up the door in the East for an Argos if Chad Kelly is back on form when he comes back.
Are you picking him up to drive him to practice?
I arranged an Uber. Cameron Dukes is good, but like after a few games,
strength.
Yeah,
no arm strength, and they yanked him the other day because he couldn't get the ball downfield.
Yeah, it's true. They had to have the other guy finish the game against Hamilton
because he
right.
couldn't get the ball. Was there some wind? I heard there was some wind, or there was a little bit of weather variance. You're a quarterback; you should be able to play at all times.
Yeah, right? If you throw a good spiral, shouldn't it just like cut through the wind?
Last time I checked, you know what I mean? I've never heard like he basically got taken out of the game because they didn't think his arm strength was good enough at that point to come back. And look at what's his name? Ontabell, the backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. He threw the ball very well.
Almost led them back into that game.
Yes, he did. But that's only because we got to talk about the most dynamic player in the CFL this year is that Hungarian Grant guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Another end-to-end special teams touchdown.
Oh, my God. Winnipeg's kind of shouldn't have let him go so quickly now. Now, what's he going to do?
Well, I think the Argos were able to back up the Brinks truck that Winnipeg didn't have.
Exactly. But here's what's going to say. He's playing against Winnipeg today. What's going to happen?
Can he go, was it like 4 in a row now?
The guy's spectacular, though, eh?
Oh, I'm glad he plays for the double blue.
I am too. That's not double blue anymore. That's old Blue Jay uniform.
Well, it's still It's still 2 shades of blue, so technically double blue.
Not the double blue that I know and love. Can we put it that way? Can we get back to that, please? Thank you. One of the coolest.
The marketing team was on this one.
You know what I think? I'm going to go to the Michael Wilbon School of Respecting Marketing. How's that sound? And if anybody knows where that's going, my take on is this.
Is that why Jaylen Brown was left off Team USA?
We'll get to that momentarily. My take on it is this. Even when I was young, because I had uncles that were huge Ottawa Rough Rider fans when I was really, really young. And
Ottawa Rough Riders, those 2 words.
There you go. In any event, I always thought that the Argos had cool jerseys. Even like when you look at the NFL, I always thought they had the uniform that was most compatible.
That's why the Tennessee Titans ripped them off.
Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying? And there was a Canadian connection in that, when they first started, when they were going, because they didn't want to have the blue of the old Houston.
The Houston Oilers.
Oilers, because they said they didn't want that motif, but they wanted a blue, and there was somebody in there that was, I don't know, that did the Bud Grant thing come from the CFL to the NFL? I don't know. It could be urban legend, could be bullshit, but there was something to do with they liked that look. And the Tennessee jerseys look great, in my opinion. But that's not the point. The Argos, we should be talking about when Mr. Milani's going to pick up Chad Kelly and make sure he gets to practice on time.
Yes, because he could start practicing soon after today's game against Winnipeg. Only 2 games left in his suspension.
Oh, he'll be at practice this week. There'll be no doubt about it. I just want to know what the reaction is going to be from the local landscape and the
Well, there's going to be some outrage still because I feel like people still feel like there hasn't been appropriate answers given to some things.
And you can't dismiss something like that on that level. No. It can't be dismissed. We can't just move that out of the way just because we're talking about the greatness of the Argos. We're talking about moral turpitude, protection of individuals, a woman's rights. We could add all that in, but we're not a political show. But that's all going to come to the forefront when we see Mr. Kelly.
Well, at the end of the day, he threatened a coworker, and that's never a good look.
Never. So what's he going to do when he's going to come out to practice? He's going to have a fatty in his hand and a six-pack and a freaking cooler over his shoulder? Just wondering.
Maybe after the game or after practice.
I don't know. I just think that when you have character issues of that nature, that sometimes your fan base is going to say, huh, what? But
is it the fan base or is it the media?
Well, I'm thinking I see.
No, because we know Serge has some opinions.
We're not Serge. We love you. Okay, we will never let you on the air
to talk about Chad Kelly.
No, sorry, Serge. We'll talk about Guy Lafleur all day long. We will talk about your nephew playing for the Oshawa Generals. We will not let Serge give his opinions on the Chad Kelly situation. No disrespect, Serge, but disrespect being the definitive word. Toronto is they want to keep the fans coming down to BMO. And a winning product always draws eyes to the table. So let's see what happens. Let it play out, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. We'll move this on to some offseason news in the NHL, where we had a few big contract signings, starting with the Toronto Maple Leafs report, where it wouldn't be Leafs news if we weren't talking about a fourth liner now, would it?
Of course not. We're in Toronto, the landscape where everybody loves the city and knows that it's just the greatest sports extravaganza in North America. Not.
No one claimed that.
Well, you know,
No
I
one's
don't want to
claiming
be.
that.
I will stop being jaded from this second on.
Okay. We'll see how long that lasts.
I'm going to try to.
The guy who said that last week that he's going to rip the Leafs all season, right?
I never said I was going to rip the Leafs. I just said I'm going to make a constructive observation of the operation. How's that sound?
Okay.
I tried to.
I'll believe it when I see it. How about that?
I signed up to be a dog walker, but Mitch Marner wasn't on the list, so I didn't take the chance. I said, if I can't walk Mitch's dog, I don't want to watch nobody's. Austin's dog's down in Arizona, so I can't walk his dog. But
come October, or I guess September, you can maybe get that job.
I'm going to run down. It's in Etobicoke, just south where they're all playing. And he can go in and skate, and I'll walk his
Ford
dog.
Or was it MasterCard, whatever it's
whatever
called.
They change, whatever corporate entity has decided to put their name on the building. That's a nice facility, by the way.
I've heard.
I've been down there. I took a look around. It's like pro level.
As you would imagine.
Yeah, no, it's
for the Leafs practice. It should be top tier.
I would say that I want to know how many teams around the league have a facility this good.
Probably like the top 10.
Rangers, Bruins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Penguins, Flyers. I know the Penguins have a really nice one.
Oh, yeah, they upgraded. I remember that. That's because of the Sidney Crosby effect.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before, Connor Dewar signing a 1-year extension, $1.18 million. That's pretty good money.
I'm thinking that's going to be there.
Good skater, good defensive guy in the penalty kill. Hands, meh.
Well, he goes up and down the wing well, and he's going to go in the corner and go get a puck.
There you go.
I'm just wondering how that's going to balance their salary cap situation, even though it's risen, because the Leafs, don't they have a couple players? I looked at Puckpedia, and
they're still RFAs?
They're kind of like, unless you consider when they added this guy in, there's going to have to be a balance of somebody else, because they still haven't signed Nick Robertson.
No, who claims he's not going to sign back. He's holding out.
I think he should. And we go.
Wait, I thought you were saying he should sign back.
Well, I think he should hold out to get his money, because I don't think.
No, he's holding out for a trade, though. That's the issue.
Well, I think that's going to come back to bite the Leafs in the ass down the road.
Well, I think the way it's going to go, if he still doesn't have something in place by training camp, I think he's going to know, like, it's better for me to just sign back in Toronto than just waiting on my ass, where my value's just going to get hurt. At least I hope that's where he goes.
Well, he has no other options,
exactly.
really, because, like, you know, this is where you're at, and this is where that's why the CBA put you in this position, so he can't suddenly be a maverick and say, this is what I want, because you're not going to, one guy of his stature is not going to change what's already been established with CBA.
Exactly.
You know.
A couple other signings. Travis Konechny signing an 8-year max deal, $8.75 per with the Philadelphia Flyers. He was their top scorer last season. I think that's a pretty good signing considering the rising cap, and this is his big payday, of course, at 27 years old. Then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the goaltender.
Wait. I thought that his signing was a little bit expensive until I did some research, and he seems to be still ascending as a scorer in the league. Like, if you look at the last 3 years and how he's been moving, I didn't realize that until you told me, because I thought they might have overpaid for him.
If he was on a better team, I think he'd be a lot closer to a point per game.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I mean, if he scores 90 points this year, are you going to be surprised?
No.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. I had to look a little bit more into his background, and his plus minus is good.
He's a very, very skilled player, too.
Yeah,
tremendous playmaker, good goal scorer.
That's what I was looking at, too. Like, Steve Stamkos wishes he had his plus minus.
Ooh.
That's all. And I love Steve Stamkos.
I know you do.
I love Steve Stamkos. No.
But now Stamkos is on a team that defense first is kind of their motto, so.
He's still going to get 35 goals, I think.
Oh, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying he's going to have a little bit of help in the plus-minus department.
There you go.
And then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the goaltender for Buffalo, signing a 5-year extension, $4.75 per. I think that's a very good move for Buffalo. Goaltending, I don't think is a big issue for them. I think it's more upfront and scoring that's going to be their issue. But at least they have the back end kind of secured, especially with defense and the tenders now.
And considering his age, and the props that he gets around the league, I think that this is a great signing for Buffalo because he's still relatively young, and they got him locked up for 5 years.
Another great goaltender for Finland.
The
goalie factory.
The goalie, yeah. So I don't you think that's a good sign when you're considering it that way? And with the cap supposed to be jumping again, you say I think it's going to be higher than it was this year.
The jump?
The jump?
I think there's a good chance that happens.
Which makes that signing even better.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The Calgary Flames broke ground in their new arena, Scotia Place. I love how it's either Scotia or Rogers that have the naming rights for all that have all the naming rights for the arenas and stadiums in Canada. Plus, I think there's a Canadian Tire and Canada Life.
Yeah,
the other ones.
The only other one is the Bell Center.
Yeah, Bell Center too. But again, Rogers Bell.
Yeah, they're in bed. Yeah, okay. But like I'm saying, that's about the only one that doesn't have a moniker that says Scotia or Rogers.
Well, and then there's Canada Life in Winnipeg and Canadian Tire in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah, Canadian Tire. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
In any event, I thought it was interesting because the original Saddle Dome was built for the Olympics in Calgary. That's not even how old. They're starting to sound like Detroit to me. And the fact that they knocked down, I thought that arena, even though they said it's very dated, facilities are needed to be upgraded. Good for Calgary that they've got the money to put it in because it's going to be
finally.
But that's a lot of private money has gone into this.
That's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're not putting the burden on the taxpayer. I know the province and the city had to have a modicum of.
Yeah.
But the majority of it is not going to be the burden of the taxpayers, which it should be.
Exactly.
After all these years, come on.
Oh, especially when you have billionaire owners that are running these teams. Like, come on.
And then acting poverty when they come to the taxpayer.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Thank you. Just saying that. But good, thank you. I mean, good luck to Calgary. It's supposed to be open in 2 years, correct?
I believe so.
It's 2 years before they finish construction. Congratulations to Calgary for getting a new arena.
Some Team Canada news. Kyle Dubas and Julien Brisebois added to Canada's staff for the Four Nations face-off in the Olympics.
Okay, here we go.
My two favorite managers.
This is the part of the hockey thing that I've been waiting to talk about all week. This is Exhibit A. We're going to get to Exhibit B. How do you feel about your two boys suddenly becoming involved in our national team? These guys are respected general managers. They have key jobs in the NHL, and you don't think they can contribute anything to...
I'm a little bit surprised that Dubas got the job. Brisebois, not so much because he's got the Yzerman connection, and Yzerman has got the... he ran the previous two Olympic teams, right?
Agreed.
Dubas is a little bit of a shock, I guess. But, I mean, both these guys, my criticism of their moves lately.
I know what you're going to say. So here's the one thing that I'm going to defend your argument on. Dubas is more of a analytics, salary cap, number guy. They don't have to worry about any of that with Team Canada.
That's not necessarily true. Well, analytics you may be still looking at when you're selecting your team, though, right?
But he's manipulated with that buddy that he brought that's still in the Toronto organization, the master of the cap. I forget his name. Yeah, Purdom. That's out there. So they were kind of in cahoots at the time. But suddenly he's moving into position. So I guess he's going to be involved in player analysis.
Well, so he's going to be involved in selecting the team, I think. He's probably he's an assistant GM, basically.
No, they're all going to sit in the room and have that argument. Like, I'd love to pay money. Just let me sit in the room. I'll shut up. I won't say a word. I just want to see the arguments about why they picked one player over another, which we'll probably have discussions about when that time comes. But I think Brisebois should get the benefit of a doubt.
Why? Paying 5 draft picks for Tanner Jeannot?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
trading McDonough for a couple bums and then trading him back.
Okay, so let's put it this way. The proof will be in the pudding whether or not Tampa Bay makes the playoffs this year. Then I'll let you run with Brisebois as long as you want. But if he gets...
But he's making the team worse and worse every year. He's not doing himself any favors.
He's trying to get around some salary cap issues, which they have had with their big contracts going. Because remember...
Then why did you trade for McDonough?
Because his next salary won't be that big. And he's only got 2 years left on the contract. So maybe
but how's he going to be at the end of those 2 years? They're going to want to sign him back anyways.
Well, he'll be giving them a sweetheart deal or it won't be anything.
Yeah, but he's going to be like, what, 38? Yeah, there you go.
38, I believe, is what he's going to be. My point is, if you continue to make the playoffs and you continue to go on, one of the things that...
Not a guarantee in the East this year.
Okay, no, I'm not saying, but I'm saying he's going to be there. But let's just look at this from strictly a financial point of view, which I don't like to do because then you're excluding the fans. Okay? Now, if you look at the situation in Tampa, they're pretty tight. But let's get back to the great Toronto landscape here. The history has shown you cannot win a Stanley Cup with 4 guys making over $10 million unless the Toronto Maple Leafs do it first. So I think what Tampa Bay was trying to do is avoid some of that, to balance the contract, hence the reason Stamkos is at
So throw your captain overboard?
I don't like that, but I mean, when it comes down to business part of the deal, fans are not concluded in the business.
Who's your number? Who are your top centers now?
You? Me?
Point and Cirelli?
I like Cirelli as a good two-way guy, but
I like him as a 3. I don't like him as a 2.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. He's never going to be a number 1.
No.
Okay, but I mean, maybe that'll just do. It'll keep their defensive plus-minus even strength situation a little bit better. And if they run with that power play.
You lost 2 big pieces, though, this year.
Stamkos is going to be huge missing.
You lost Sergachev, too.
And Sergachev on the power play. That's 2 big pieces that make that one of the best power plays in the NHL.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe their even strength situation will be improved.
We'll see.
I don't know. When I looked at the numbers, they're not that much of a plus when it comes to 5-5.
Oh no, they made their money on special teams last year.
100%, and still some pretty solid goaltending.
Sure.
So let's not drag Brisebois' dick totally in the dirt. We'll just wait and see, and we'll make this conversation in 6 months from now.
The Columbus Blue Jackets hired Dean Evison as their head coach, finally breaking their silence, I guess, on that. A lot of people were wondering who was going to be. He was the former Minnesota Wild head coach and has a great, crazy face. So I'm looking forward to seeing him coach the Jackets.
I was surprised that he was out of this league so long, considering how the coaching carousel moves around the NHL.
Yeah, the pickup in late July is not an average thing for an NHL team. Usually you want your guy in place by the draft.
What team are we talking about?
Columbus.
End of story.
What does that have to do? Well,
that organization.
Yeah, but they have a new president, though. Maybe I think that's maybe the reason why.
Well, obviously, because that's the relationship of command now, and that's changing Columbus because they got to do something there because their attendance is starting to,
Well, because they've been not good.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like it takes them 5 games to get as much as Ohio State Buckeyes get for 1.
Well, okay. We're comparing like NHL to college football. You can't do that.
Oh, I'm just saying that you still be able to have a fan base that be able to do once a week. It takes you a week to get the same. And I know it's only a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
Or
small market.
Yeah, small market. So we'll give him the benefit of a doubt.
And Patrick Laine is out of the player assistance program.
And he's coming to Montreal.
Is he?
Did you hear the rumors on Hab sites?
No, I don't.
I'm not. Okay, stop it. Don't even go there. I'm not even going to let you answer that. I'm just
saying.
Stop it.
What keyboard warriors are telling you?
Stop it.
Oh, I'm sure they have all the inside information. It's about I would just say the same about Leaf rumor sites too. By the way.
Okay, well, one of them came from one of the press guys, like say what's his name? Comes on all the time. Freeman, not Marak's partner. I'm having a complete brain fart.
Who?
The number 1 guy on the broadcast. He always wears the crazy suits.
Elliot Friedman?
Elliot Friedman, yes. The guy, the equivalent to him, did not deny the rumor in Montreal. And part of the reason I have trouble with this is because sometimes they put it all in French. My French is not good, especially when I got to read it. Okay?
Sure.
But there has been some rumblings. Personally, I don't want him. What kind of money you got to pay him? He's still got a contract. How is it going to affect our salary cap? Could he be a
Montreal's a lot of cap space?
Yes, we do. But are we going to take it on a chance of someone like that? You know what I mean? That's a big, big risk.
I can kind of see it.
Just for the scoring prowess?
You guys need scoring. That's my biggest knock on the Habs this year.
100%. Well, when Slavaski scores 40 goals this year, we'll talk about that.
That's one guy.
Okay, but in any event, the thing that scares me about it is that you upset the apple cart a bit. Because this guy's reputation and where he's bounced around the league, there's nothing very positive to say about this. Okay? Great skater, got hands.
Yep.
When does he show up?
Well, he had a bad situation in Columbus. They tried to move him to center and all this nonsense.
Do you think that he would be a positive contribution to my beloved Montreal Canadiens?
Of course he would.
Johnny Gaudreau?
Johnny Gaudreau.
Could he come to Montreal and be a Johnny Gaudreau?
Oh, God, no. No, completely different circumstances.
Okay.
I think Laine would be a lot more motivated, trying to, build up his reputation. Gaudreau was a free agent signing at the height of his career, high on his own, you know what. But
yeah, okay, so what are we going to say here? Do you think that he'll be embraced by the fan base? Only if he scores.
I mean, he'd be embraced at first. Like, the Habs fans would be happy at first to get him. But then after that, it's going to be all about the results.
I'm saying right now, as a disciple of my beloved Montreal Canadiens, think long and hard about this, Mr. Hughes. You made some great moves. We've got salary cap space. We got the 7 big defensemen. I don't want to put a fly in the ointment just yet.
What if you get him for cheap?
Well, he's a free agent.
No, he's got a couple years left in his contract.
Yeah, at about 6.5.
That's not that much.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you don't score 30 goals, then he's not worth it. And if he's a cancer in the dressing room, that's even going to make matters worse.
Well, where are you getting that he's a cancer in the dressing room?
What's that?
Where are you getting that he's a cancer in the dressing room?
I'm not saying he's a cancer in the dressing room, but people look at him differently, considering that people at one time thought maybe he should be picked over Matthews. I want to know where those morons are today. Come on.
One of them's working for the Golden Knights. I know that.
Okay, there you go. Like, come on. Was that just a Fugazi? Like, come on. You can't look at them now. When I remember that question came up, I looked at the size. I mean, Lane's not a small guy.
No.
But look at Matthews. Look at him at the time. Come on.
You're talking top center versus top winger.
Not only that, Matthews was over in playing against men before the year he
so is Laine.
Was he still in the O?
No, he's playing in Finland.
Oh, yeah, he was playing in the Finland Pro League. Oh, okay, benefit of a doubt. I'm just saying that I
had a friend with that take, too. He's like, the Leafs were going to regret not drafting Laine.
Oh, come on.
I haven't heard him say that in years now, so.
Come on. Stop it, anyone that says anything. That means just saying I'm going to have to completely reassess your hockey acumen, even to be bringing that up at the time. I didn't even think it was an argument. I thought Matthews was the gimme, and of course he was. And now he's the most prolific goal scorer in the world. Stop it. You can't even say those guys in the same sentence anymore. No. You know what I mean? So as a Hab fan, I'm just saying, I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to pick him up at the airport. That's all I'm saying.
Might have to.
Oh, shit.
One last piece of hockey news. Stan Bowman hired by the Oilers as their GM as their search finally comes to an end. And obviously the internet is overjoyed with this decision.
Okay.
And by overjoyed, I mean very upset.
Oh, you think so? So I'm looking across the table at someone that I would say about 3 or 4 shows ago when they very quietly brought him as release on July 1st. And they tried to hide it under all the free agent signings. And, okay, now they're eligible to go there. What was my first saying? Isn't it interesting that Ken Holland moved out of the way? And I said, I wonder if Stan Bowman could end up in Winnipeg. You crushed me immediately. Stepped on me like one of those ants growing across the kitchen floor. Okay, Cruz, that's what I think about that. Here we are. Okay, now I'm going to give you this. You're not going to talk about the off the stuff going on. You want to talk about his performance as a GM.
Yeah, because with the sexual assault stuff, like, he's paid his dues with that. Like, we can talk about whatever that till we're blue in the face about it, whatever. The NHL felt he paid his dues. He's back in. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with him being a bad GM. Did Edmonton just kiss away McDavid's chance of a Stanley Cup here? Maybe.
We won't know till he gets in there now.
Although Stan Bowman, I guess they're banking on him having the reputation as the closer for these things.
That got to.
Although in Chicago, a lot of that fell in his lap. I'll say this again and again and again. That was Dale Talon's team, especially that 2010 team. I don't think Stan Bowman made one significant move that season.
No, he did not. We did check that out. No, he did. It had nothing to do with any of the structure of that team. I will give you this. However,
in 13 and 15, he just played some musical chairs.
Okay, maybe the case may be. But anyways, he did keep the team together, and they did win 2 more cups.
Yeah.
Under his reign. Now, a lot of
But then once Kane and Taves got paid the big money, then things start to fall apart.
Yes, it gets back to that theory. You can't have 4 guys making that much money because of the.
Although it wasn't even about that. It was about the panic moves after they got swept to Nashville in the first round. Then Panarin's got to go. Oh, Chalmerson's got to go. Oh shit.
Panarin is a big mistake.
Chalmerson too. They traded him for. He's still on the team now. He's like a right-handed shot. He's big, but that's about it.
Didn't get much.
Yeah, exactly.
However, you got to look at it this way. Considering his lineage, there's a possibility.
Stop it.
He could be the closer. So if McDavid he stays there 5 years. In the next 5 years, they don't win a Stanley Cup. You're going to crucify this guy, aren't you?
I got the nails ready.
Let's talk about the fan base and the petition going around, my friend.
There's a couple petitions, but one of them has been gaining traction. I believe 6,500 signed it last time I checked to have the Oilers fire Stan Bowman. Now, that's not going to happen.
No.
Oilers are private money. They don't give a fuck.
No kidding.
This is their guy.
Yep.
They're not, unless there's like riots and like pure outrage in Edmonton. Anything short of that is he's not going to get fired.
Okay. I was going to say pleasantly surprised. That's not the expression I'm looking for. However, I was kind of taken aback a bit by this uproar from the crowd and what they were saying.
Well, between the sexual assault stuff and him not being a very good GM, it's a pretty gnarly combo.
Did you think it was a bit of a dog and pony show when Sheldon Kennedy came out and said all the things that he did to show up at events and kiss babies and say that was a mistake in Chicago? Do you think it was a bit of a dog and pony show?
A bit.
Has to be. Come on. We know what happened in Chicago. Let's not reiterate. It's something, it's a bad stain, okay? But one of the guys that was a poster boy for that situation from a long time ago suddenly endorses the fact that Stan Bowman is coming to Edmonton.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
I'm just saying it's the optics. What are the optics? I ain't buying that part of it, tell you the truth. I'm going to try to base this solely on his ability to be a GM.
Agreed.
And I'm just going to wipe away all the stuff because that's yesterday. And we're living in the moment and trying to get to tomorrow. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll see how the Edmonton team performs, and we'll go from there.
And we have to wonder when Joe Quenneville is going to get hired then.
Well, I think that in your argument, Quenneville was one of the better coaches, so maybe he was more to do with the fact that they kept winning than Bowman.
100%.
You could probably...
Because the moment they fired Dennis Savard and brought in Joe Quenneville, instant turnaround.
Has Dennis Savard ever got another coaching job?
I don't believe so.
Of course not. Guy's not a coach. Great hockey player. Was not a coach.
Like Gretzky.
Not a great
right?
coach.
Exactly. Just the way it is. That's fine.
Yep.
We will move this along to the NBA, where for a hot second it looked like TNT was going to match the deal, but then at the last second it looked like that wasn't going to happen. And now the news is out. Amazon expected to pay roughly $1.8 billion annually in TV mega deal, in which Disney would pay around $2.6 billion and NBC Universal would pay $2.5 billion annually each.
A lot of those guys better not be doing load management because there'll be a lot of network screaming. However, I cannot say enough about Charles Barkley defending the fans in this. Due to the streaming situations, the remote connections you got to have in certain parts of the United States of America. No, the fans, as Barkley pointed out quite eloquently, this is a slap in the face to fans. You have no respect for them whatever. This will strictly have to do with the almighty dollar. Sometimes you got to realize the people that are spending that almighty dollar is the fans. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that Charles Barkley is the arbitrator of all things good or ugly in America, but he makes a pertinent point here. And I do agree. I don't think if I see an $80-90 million contract for one of these guys.
$80 million deals are right around the corner.
I'm hoping that they're not, but...
Tatum, the last year of his deal was worth 71.
That's what I'm saying. And the amount of money that's going to pour in, I am still saying...
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Thank you. So I'm still saying that this is all in cahoots. How quickly the CBA got settled. Then the TV deals came up.
Because everyone's pockets are being stuffed. Of course the deal happened quickly.
Yeah, well, they better put the product on the field, on the court, that's going to satisfy the fans that are paying the money to watch this stuff. You know
Agreed.
What I mean? And it kind of like some of the things that we've seen in the last 5 years in the NBA lets me have a lot of questions about the validity of the product on the field, the integrity of the game, respect for the fans. I think that's way down the line after corporate sponsorship, commercials, and marketing jerseys.
What do you mean? We have an extra tournament now in the middle of the season? Things haven't been worse. Things haven't been better, excuse me.
That's what I'm saying. So you're catering to a bunch of people that have not let you know that they're respecting the position that they're in. We've seen it for the last 5 years. They had to change the rules to 65 games and all that other stuff. Why? Because this got to you know what I mean? This got to a point where guys were thinking about their pocketbook. They weren't thinking about that fan that was buying the third jersey.
No, they never do.
No, so I'm big shout out to Charles Barkley for respecting us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And one last piece of news: Russell Westbrook officially, well, he was trade to the Jazz, waived, and then now he's officially signed with the Denver Nuggets. A replacement for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but I don't know how his style is going to mesh with the rest of the Nuggets there. It's a bit of a weird signing.
I think
reeks of desperation a little bit.
I think that they've never recovered from the guy that we have here in Toronto, Mr. Bruce Brown. I think that they're going to need that. And Westbrook can still play defense.
Yeah.
So I think that the energy and the defense is probably what the Denver front office was trying to bring to the table.
You think he's going to come off the bench?
Oh, that's the number one question. They've got a starting five already.
Yeah, but they lost one of them, though. KCP.
Is Westbrook a shooter?
No, that's why I would start him on the bench.
Maybe, and he's already adjusted to that.
Yep, exactly.
So maybe for Denver's sake, because they have a team that could probably come all the way back, or are they just going to be like the Dallas Mavericks of the dirt and whiskey days, rise up and never see him again? I'm not sure. I love Westbrook, by the way. You know what I mean?
I'm not his biggest fan, but
I am. I
might have to start rooting for him because I do like Jokic, I like Murray, and I like the Nuggets. So,
which will bring us to like all this things that's going on with the Olympic basketball team, but we'll bring those things up when we get to the Olympics.
Yeah, well, actually, speaking of that, the WNBA All-Star Game happened last weekend where the All-Stars beat Team USA.
What do you think about that?
I'm not looking too deep into that. I'm just thinking like the All-Stars are motivated because these are the girls that, next women up, whatever. But, and I mean, you won by 8 points. That's 3 possessions. It wasn't like you blew them out.
No.
And it's kind of like, I kind of view it like the Dream Team losing to the College All-Stars in that game. What happened in the rematch?
Oh, Hurley didn't get a point. Okay, for starters.
If there was a rematch for this, I imagine the Team USA players would not exactly smoke the WNBA, but they would win by a significant margin.
I'm going to go there too, which brings us to something that we may have to conclude doing due to the fact that we really want to get back to the product on the field. Like, God bless Caitlin Clark and the Caitlin Clark report, but I don't think, since we're always bragging about talking about the highest level of competition, we shouldn't be bartering and arguing every week about teams that are in 7th and 8th place. Let's talk about the Asia Wilsons, Brianna Stewart, that crew that's on the top of the league, and giving us some very good games. We just can't ignore the fact that the last game that Caitlin Clark played before the All-Star game was the 5th highest attendance game in the history of the WNBA.
Yep.
That stuff cannot be discounted. You know what I mean? And I think it's better that her and Angel Reese both didn't make the team, because then we don't have to talk about a whole bunch of drama that's self-induced by the hierarchy that runs the national basketball team in the USA.
And they'll be there in 4 years.
Of course they will be. You know what I mean? Just keep bringing a proper product on the field, because we want to talk about the competition, not fingernails, Daisy Dukes, high heel shoes, and mini skirts.
The WNBA is now in their All-Star break. They will resume Thursday, August 15th.
Which is 4 days after the Olympics. Just before we conclude there, I will say that even though they lost, I believe that the the women's national basketball team will win on an average by 25 points a game. You heard it here first.
I would not be shocked.
And if they win by 15, that's a close game.
Okay.
Did you also hear that the teammate, we brought it up before, barked at, what's her name? Oh, God, I had it written down and I forget now. Anyways, this thing with Greer bringing the knee down during the game, she's been told...
Brittany Griner.
She's been basically told by a couple of people on the team, listen, you pull that stunt again, we'll send you to the gulag. Which is...
I like hearing that.
Me too. This is like you're on the world stage now. You're involved in the worst trade in the history of the world. Okay, Ms. Griner, you're involved in the worst trade in the history of the world. I got to say that, and I'm going to say it. We all know.
You're not wrong.
Okay, we know that. So let's cut to the chase here. Go out, be a good American, play the way you're going to be, and you're going to get yourself another goal. Because when we get to there, we'll discuss the weird shit that goes on in this place called the Olympics. But that's down the road.
Did you see her interview talking about being a parent? She's like, yeah, they're going to call me Pops. I'm like...
I said I was walking Stanley. I said, dear, why don't you get back to the view? I'm going to go walk Stanley. Come on. Really? Do we have to deal with this every day? Like
I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest.
I thought it was bizarre.
Well, yeah, that too.
Bizarre. Come on. It's totally bizarre. You're going to get on national TV after all the things that you've been through. You lost your dreads. You almost got sent to the gulag. You still want to kneel and, can you call me Pops? Stop it.
Well, it's going to be your kids, so. Well, whatever. I'm not going to judge how you run your house.
Let's go down the road.
Yeah,
let's go down the road.
I'm not going to judge how you run your house.
We do not go there when we're on the house that happens.
No.
We're all about civility and positivity most of the time.
I'm libertarian, so I don't give a fuck how you
Thank you.
tell your kids.
I'm glad that.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, John Bellardi? Can I shout out to my Italian friend on the ball team? My accomplice is a libertarian. Did you notice that's a difference between libertarian? There is a difference, John, and I don't care about climate change. Done.
There we go. Okay. Moving this on to the Open Championship, where Xander Schauffele won the tournament with the -9 shot of 65 on Sunday, basically carrying him to victory. Second major win in a row for him. Big shout out to him, looking like the best golfer of the season right now. But, of course, we cannot forget that Rory missed the cut with a +11.
2 shots better than Tiger.
Yep.
Or 3 shots better than Tiger. Would you see Tiger trying to get around the course?
It's sad.
Okay, but you know what? He has the right to play. So let's just leave it at that.
Of course.
We'll just leave it at that.
It's just sad seeing him like, and it's like me seeing like my dad or something. Like it's like if I was seeing him like having to like hobble around like.
So
that's especially where you see where Tiger came from, where he was the most dominant golfer in the world
and top 10
and like all time, you know,
and top 10 athlete of the 21st century.
Yeah.
With that being said, I want nobody on the San Fran Sluggers talking about old guys moving around the field on the ball team, okay? Do not compare that. Even though if you see me throw the baseball, you'd be going, Cruz. That's why you play second base, right? Okay, but that's another story. It's not about Tiger. I think that what we can't forget is Scotty Scheffler. If we're talking 2 months ago after when he won the Masters, this guy couldn't do no wrong. He won the Players, he won the Memorial, he won the Arnie. So we can't deny who's going to have the better seasons, but when you add on 2 majors with all the best golfers in the world showing up for these events, Xander's got a good argument for golfer of the year, don't you think?
Well, 2 majors in 1 calendar year. Come on.
There you go. Now, what's going to happen is the FedEx Cup, I think, should be getting the props that it's going to do, will decide who's going to be the player of the year, in my opinion. Especially, and Scotty's won how many elevated events this year? Problem with Scotty is, on his best days, that guy can't putt.
Yeah.
So I heard an interesting analogy about this, and it's very true. Xander won the tournament. At one point in time, there was 8 golfers within 2 strokes, and he went down. He played flawlessly. But what he has done is, I heard an interesting fact, which you never think about, but when you do, it's so true, is how many guys make putts over 15 feet or longer in a tournament? I don't know. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 4. The key to doing it is putting yourself in a position to have that putt with your approach shots. I thought Scotty Scheffler's approach was just as good as Xander's. There was just one difference. All those shots you had at making the 15-foot putt, Xander made 3. Scheffler made what? None. What did Xander win by? About 3 strokes.
Yep.
Interesting analogy when I heard about that. Put yourself in a position, but you got to make a putt. I don't know what's gone on with his putter. And I've noticed that until someone of the announcers, he's changed his putter like 3 times during the course of the year.
Xander?
No, Scheffler.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, Xander's using the old school flat stick. Bang. He's got it down. He's been a good putter all along, last 2 years. I'm really glad that because I always liked his game, and I did call him to win.
So did I.
Yeah, we're going to be there. The bottom line is that this guy no longer has to hear about the best golfer that never won a major. I wonder who's in line for that now. And let's bring up the fact that maybe Rory, who's been a great spokesman, he's one of the best golfers in the world. What's his career in majors?
When was the last time he's won one?
10 years, bro.
It's insane.
10 years. And he's
10 years ago, no one would have thought you'd have to wait like who knows when for the next one.
Someone would have said...
Everyone said that the next one's going to be like, if it's not next year, it'll be the year after, you know?
Now it's 10 years. That's a huge gap. I think the only one that's had a bigger gap in winning a major is Jack Nicklaus. in his day when he won the 86 Masters after not having win, I think it was like almost 10 years. But Rory's got a stretch here now that history says he's never going to win one again. I hope that's not true because, like...
Yeah, and I mean, it's comparing him to Jack Nicklaus. It's kind of like apples and oranges. Like, Nicklaus, arguably the greatest golfer of all time, most majors. Let's not forget.
Okay, I will argue a lot about that, but that's your story.
Well, he's got the most majors. You can't take that away from him.
100%. 100%.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll give him. I love Jack. I'm not gonna like be derogatory in any way about him. One of the greatest golfers of all time. What I'm getting at is that Rory wins the DP Tour in England. I mean, in Europe. He's won that. He's won FedEx Cup.
Yep.
He's won those huge tournaments in Saudi Arabia, like the biggest money tournaments.
Won the Canadian Open.
Won the Canadian Open. Blah blah blah. Like if you look at the guy's track record compared to any other golfer in the last 10 years, he is right there. If he's not on the top of the list, it's the major boogaboo that's got him.
Yep.
Is those 2 putts at Pinehurst going to define his career? I hope not. But the fall apart, he played good in the Scottish Open.
Yep.
Went to now there was weather conditions, but everybody had weather conditions. To shoot what he shot, he looked discombobulated. He had a couple shots I didn't even believe. The one out of bounds and the fairway by the railroad track. What were you doing? And I watched the last 36 holes in its entirety after watching the first 2 rounds where Rory was already gone. Some people had trouble at that hole, but I didn't see a shot like that. I hope Rory makes it all the way back, but what we should be talking about is the race for Golfer of the Year, which is now between Scotty Scheffler and Xander
Schauffele. And it's going to come down to the FedEx Cup.
Exactly, which will make people, if you want to watch some really good high-intensity competition, FedEx Cup is right there.
And when's that, in September?
Starting right after, I think it's around the end of the Olympics.
Okay, yeah, so mid-August, okay.
Oh, another point being, who were the last 2 Olympic gold medalists in golf? Xander and Scotty.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, Xander and Scotty.
The last 2. Should make it for an interesting race.
Absolutely. We'll move this on to Major League Baseball, where Kevin Kiermaier announced that he will retire at the end of the season.
So what?
Wow.
So what?
He had a good career.
I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt in the career. The only reason he got a contract this year is because Toronto gave him a backdoor deal. So, great defensive player. Huge guy in the clubhouse. I don't know if he had effect in our clubhouse as he was talked about in Tampa Bay. That's a little different.
Well, so Chris Bassett alluded to some, perhaps some demons in this clubhouse.
Bassett, shut up. You're going to wreck it before the trade deadline. That might get him sent out of town, by the way.
Maybe that's his goal.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, I didn't mean to diss Kiermaier like that. I don't, but you know how I think about him. You know what I mean? Which alludes to...
You are the ultimate be careful what you wish for, because last year all you were doing was talking to, number 9 hitter. Now guess what? His bat fell off. You got what you wished for.
Okay, I didn't mean to jinx the guy, but I'm looking at it this way. One of the things that I've heard in a lot of places and a lot of people, including Richard Griffin, who's one of the best baseball writers that have ever existed in Toronto, says, we got to bring Atkins and Shapiro to the table because they tried to sell that if we just increase a little more defense, it won't affect our offense. That was their big sell, right?
Huge miscalculation.
Huge.
Well, the thing was that they traded Teoscar and Gurriel at the same time.
And Marino.
Yeah,
Marino.
One of those trades, okay, maybe, but like we said that offseason, we're like, trade one, not both, and then both were gone.
And how much offense did we lose?
A ton.
Who just won the home run derby?
Teoscar.
Who's hitting 271 with 14 homers and 58 RBIs? That guy down in that desert?
Yeah, Gurriel.
And
the catcher there, one of the best, Moreno.
Number one defensive metrics in baseball. Number one, and the guy's in his second year at 22 years old. The best defensive metrics. Now, whatever he hits is a bonus. And he's going to hit 260, and he's going to get better. He's going to hit it. He's going to be like one of those 20-75 guys with the best defense a catcher could possibly have. Atkins. Shapiro.
You done goofed.
Let's take it one step further. For all of my people in North Etobicoke that ask me one more time, should John Schneider be fired? BOH, you included. You know what the answer is? You can't fire Schneider.
I agree.
You can't. If you fire Schneider, then that means that we have to go up the ladder. So what are we going to do? We're going to get a unilateral position where Aikens gets slid over to another part of the organization as a ball boy, and we keep Schneider there as long as the strings are moving? I don't know. Toronto's in a weird position as a franchise.
Especially with the trade deadline looming. Tuesday, 6 p.m.
We're going to discuss that in a minute, but I want to ask you this question, okay? We don't know where the $600 million for Ohtani went to, and we're not going to argue that Ohtani used the Jays to get $700 million from the Dodgers. Okay, that's a moot point now. We're going to talk about the $400 million that they put into the Dome for the baseball experience. Now, it's October. They go in to see the Rogers people and sit down and say, well, you can't say rebuild because you can't put that much into an arena, and the ratings have already been dipping at this point in the season. How do you sell to Rogers and to the great landscape that is Toronto sports scene? How do you sell that when you're going to say, well, we're going to, like, you put all this in? If nobody's coming and sitting in those, or nobody's using the new restaurants, or nobody's taking advantage of the new atmosphere.
Yeah, I got you. But I think the word this offseason is going to be retool. The words out there that Bo would welcome a trade.
Shut up, Bo.
No, I want him gone. You need to get him gone.
Wow.
He can't. I'm sorry. A guy with below average defense at shortstop and his bat not working is a dangerous combination. He's got to go. He needs a fresh start. Bye, Bo.
Let's move him over to second base.
He doesn't want that. He's not going to accept that.
Oh, then he has to leave.
There you go.
I will give you. If he can't move over.
Don't you think that would have happened already?
What's that?
Moving to second base.
Ego. That's what I don't
there you
like.
Go.
Okay, and some of his meanderings where we get the opposite from Vladdy, who I think we should sign real quick.
Yes.
Because he's proving that he is. You know what he's done? He's adjusted swinging at bad pitches. Like,
Bo definitely never adjusts to that.
Okay, so now we're talking about Toronto and a retool. When you're retooling, you can't completely dismantle the roster you have right now. So in my opinion, and I was talking to you about this, can the Toronto Blue Jays make the playoffs next year? There is an outside chance they do it if you look at it from this way. You got to keep the top three starters. That's just a gimme. If you trade any of those, you better be getting a bag load. Now, I thought they got a good prospect for Jimmy Garcia.
We'll talk about that a little bit about that later.
Okay, but I'm saying you got to keep those three. And if you're going to let Bo go, who do you keep beside that? I think you have to keep Clement and you have to keep Schneider. Schneider. I think you have to keep both of those guys because they can play multiple positions. They got a place on the team, and they're somewhat reliable. Horowitz looks like a guy that's going to play every day.
Yeah, he does.
If the bullpen guys come back from the injuries, that shores up the worst bullpen in baseball. So I'm going to give them the benefit of a doubt because the plethora of injuries that affected this bullpen was one of the worst in the major leagues.
It's a mess.
Which also concluded with the fact they're one of the worst bullpen ERAs in the league, too. So if you don't have a bullpen in this day and age,
you're screwed.
You're going nowhere. So I'm going to see with the retool, I'll go with you on the retool based on what they're going to get with the bullpen. So with that being said, and you had $600 million, I don't know who's on the free agent market this year or who you can get with a contract at the end like Bo. Go out and buy some goddamn bats.
Yeah.
Your first priority be what is their production. We'll worry about their defense later. Oh, yeah, BOH, that massive run producer, Varsho, if he comes on the trade block, I'm sending him right out of town.
I don't know what you're going to get for him, though. That's the problem. I would be open to leaving him as a center fielder for the team next season.
Hitting ninth.
Yeah, exactly.
I can live with that just because of its defensive prowess. But that's the only reason. But however, if we get a couple of young prospects for him, or a couple of young pitching arms, I wouldn't be adverse to that.
I don't know if you're getting that deal, though.
Because I don't think his value is that high.
It's not.
That's what I mean. So, and his contract isn't bad.
It's not.
I know for another team. So, what's your picture of a retool?
I mean, you definitely need you need a big left-handed bat. Preferably playing in the outfield.
Yesterday. Our biggest problem is another thing is, and the power run producing position is, next year when we start, Clement is good there as a part-time guy. Do we get a platoon at third base, or do we go for a bat, an outfield bat or a third base bat?
I mean, I think you got to explore all those options.
Then spend the money, Rogers. Yeah. Just spend the money. You had $600 million. You flashed in front of this great landscape we call the Toronto sports scene. And then what was your answer? The baseball experience. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to throw something at the wall. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I will not say that phrase again for the rest of baseball season.
Wow.
I'm going to put that in the back.
It's huge.
Yeah.
News coming down the wire that Ricky Tiedemann will need Tommy John surgery. Will undergo procedure on July 30th.
We knew that was coming. So what? He's a year away? That's another year away. So that's one of the guys that we thought maybe we're going to get.
Our top pitching prospect.
Our top and our other top batting prospect is still sitting at home because he used the wrong reproduction pill, trying to make babies. I'm still saying that's a little bit of a stretch.
I think so too.
Now that you're hearing more about it, it's a stretch. The guy tried to cheat, put some weight on, you got caught. End of story. So what will it like? Okay, we have a 24-man roster right now. Let's just throw out a number. How many of those guys are going to be on the team next year? 12? 14?
Yeah, about half.
I say it'll probably be a couple of more when we keep the VAR shows and we keep one of the catchers. What if Danny Jansen comes up in the trade?
I don't think they're going to trade him. I think because it doesn't sound like he wants to sign back, so I think they're just going to hold on to him now because you need two catchers still. So I think you're just going to hold on to him and then like just take the draft pick when he signs somewhere else in the offseason.
You think he's definitely leaving town?
Yeah, he would have signed back already, it sounds like.
That's because he had a share time with Kirk, who can't do a goddamn thing. Guy can't even throw to second base anymore. He's supposed to be there because of his defensive metrics. Yeah. Has his defense shined over you this year?
Not really.
Thank you. So
not as good as it was last year.
No, it was much better. But here's another thing that I'm talking about now. So we've got an outfielder we need. We're going to need a third baseman.
Catcher.
And, are those three major parts of the team?
And a DH.
Okay, so that retool could go into another word that starts with a B, but we're not going to go there at the house that happens because that would be an apps for, just think of it, optically, financially, and for the fan base. The B word cannot be used at any time.
The RB word.
RB word, exactly. You know what I'm going with this.
So a few trades happened yesterday ahead of the trade deadline.
Yes.
Jays trading Jimmy Garcia to Seattle for outfielding prospect Jonathan Clase and catching prospect Jacob Sharp. Sharp looks like he's still a few years away, but Clase, it looks like he brings some plus speed. His defense could use some work, but it seems like that's something he could work with, but the bat seems to be an issue. Although he's a switch hitter.
We'll find out when we get there. There's a couple other, I think you're going to bring them up. There was a couple other interesting trades.
So Zach Eflin going from Tampa Bay to Baltimore for an infielder, an outfielder, and a right-handed pitcher.
Steal.
Good pitcher for Baltimore. They needed one. And then the Dodgers trade James Paxton back to Boston. Good Canadian boy playing with the Red Sox. They seem to have a few of those that love playing in Boston.
I think the bottom line is that's a bit of a salary dump on the Dodgers' part because he didn't rise up to the expectations that they had of him.
And Kershaw's coming back.
And Kershaw's coming back, even though they still need some pitching too.
Sure.
Their rotation is not what you call the top of the league, but their hitting is just making up for it. It's insane.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And then maybe the biggest one of all is Randy Arozarena getting traded to Seattle. They definitely needed a big bat, and they got one.
I think Seattle's in desperation mode, personally, because they made another trade for some pitching too.
Another one?
I think it's just coming up, or the rumor has it MLB. There's an imminent. They're not saying who, but your buddy that I don't want to see traded, Scoble from Detroit's name has come up.
I think Detroit hangs on to him, though,
don't you?
I
think they should, too. What's his name? There's one of the starters on Tampa Bay has come up, but I think that they've not talked about that anymore because I think Tampa Bay is going to make a serious run at trying to get the wild card.
Despite selling off. I mean, that'd be the ultimate Tampa Bay move for them to sell and still make the playoffs.
Can you say Billy Bean and Moneyball? Come on. I was watching that movie the other night. They brought up people like... that movie. I know, and they're bringing up people like Shapiro, really, names on the thing in there, and I'm cringing.
He calls them on the phone in that movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just cringe. A massive cringe.
And a thing, the guy who's on TSN now, he was the Mets GM. He's another guy that calls up.
Steve Phillips,
yeah.
He knows it. What happened to him as a GM? I don't know.
The Bobby Bonilla, that's what happened.
Oh, yeah. But he got Bobby Bonilla. interesting thing. I'm giving Bobby Bonilla all the credit in the world. But
greatest buyout clause in history.
Bar none. It's going to be studied at Harvard. The bottom line is, I don't think we should continue on much more with talking about the Blue Jays because we're just going to start beating a dead horse. And what we have said, go back to some of our shows in May and June, and what we were saying could possibly happen is worse.
Yeah.
Worse. Okay. Which brings us to this point. At this time in the baseball season, we should be really taking a close look at what's really going on in the highest level of competition in baseball as we speak. So if we're going to go to the American League, I'm believing the division winners are already in place. One of them absolutely drives me crazy because if we go back to about May 1st to May 15th, they had a similar record to our beloved Toronto Blue Jays. You know who we're talking about, right?
Houston Astros.
By the way, and I always said teams that aren't going to make the playoffs this year and weren't there, I was taking a kick at Arizona. I can't take a kick at them anymore.
I told you so.
You know, they've come back nicely. Even though people have kicked around at their starting rotation, like the Dodgers, Baltimore, and I think it's Cleveland, all took a look at their rotation, but I think Arizona's going to hang tight because it's keeping their fan interest up. You know what I mean? So they're going to want that extra, those gates coming down the road for money purposes, even though everyone's going to get a big shot in the arm because of the new contract, the new TV contract. So I heard in the spring, like everybody's going to get a bump up in money. Not that Rogers needs it, but you know what I'm saying? I find it very interesting. I think in the National League, we got the same story. I don't think the Brewers are going to give up first place.
I highly doubt it at this point.
I don't think they are. I don't think that the
Phillies are safe and the Dodgers are safe.
So it gets us down to what's going to be the most interesting thing about the baseball season is, can the Cincinnati Reds still make the playoffs?
4.5 games out, I say it's unlikely, especially with Pittsburgh now picking up. You got the Cardinals to pass, Arizona. The Padres, I don't completely believe in them, but you got to give them credit that they're still there. And then there's the Braves, and then, of course, the Mets now in the top wild card spot.
Your Grimace guys.
The Grimace boys.
Okay, so here's what I'm basing it on. I went and took a look up at all these all these wild card positions. I think it's St. Louis has a negative run differential. If you look at the teams, 3 of them have a bad run differential. That smells to me that Arizona's going to sneak in now. Is one of the
only one game out.
One game out, and the run differential is pretty damn cool. The Mets' run differential is almost even with the Braves. I just think Braves are mostly injury problems.
That's been their big issue,
Yeah, and they say most of these guys are going to come back, even though they're not going to get Albies or the guy, the bat, he's gone for the year. Who did they lose? Well,
him and our MVP from last year is done for the year, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Acuna is not coming back.
No, Acuna, he's done. So that's what I'm saying. And how do you replace those bats and that defense? So I think that Atlanta, I still think they're going to crawl their way into the playoffs, but
they'll make it, but I don't think they're going to go very far.
So I think San Diego is a sleeper because they're hunting everywhere for pitching. They're raking everybody for pitching. Their run differential
Are they going to go back to Blake Snell?
He's on the trade block.
And the Giants, I hear things are very nasty there. Things are just falling apart. A lot of finger pointing that organization from what I'm hearing.
People are talking about taking a stab at trying to get Webb. Wow. That's nuts. Like San Francisco, what are you doing? You guys are supposed to have made all these alterations, brought in some extra pitching, are going to make a run for it, and their season is...
Oh, they're falling back quickly.
Very much so. I think at the end of the year, them and Toronto will be rating as some of the biggest disappointments in baseball this year.
Agreed.
When you're talking about trading Logan Webb, stop it. I'll take him in a minute. If the Blue Jays should go trade for him now, we'll use him next year. You know what I mean? Because what had happened in baseball, and I want to shout out to the Chase guy that threw a no-hitter for San Diego last week, which is something we're not going to see every day anymore with the way they yank pitchers. Give him a big shout out. But I think that there has to be an onus put back on starting pitching and innings eating because too many guys are going out with Tommy John, the warming up of the bullpen all the time. People forget about that. You know what I mean? You're warming up every day. Oh, we're not going to use you, but you still took 20 pitches to warm up and you go back to the bench. There's only so many shots in the gun. So I think that, you know what I'm saying? Like we should put, I would put an onus on, and what we have in Toronto is we have 3 innings eaters.
Yep.
Whether you want to say they're the best pitchers in baseball, if they keep their ERA under 4 and they pitch 200 innings, that's a good start for every team in the majors would love to have that, which is pretty pathetic to think that 200 innings pitched is going to get you $50 million a year. It just blows my mind. I'm an old man. You know what I mean? It just...
Yeah, but guys weren't throwing these pitches that, like, kill your elbows like they do now.
So why don't we pitch instead of throw?
That's something you got to talk about at the... Well, because otherwise you have a lower chance of making it to the majors, because now you have this pitch, and it's like, oh, my God. Right? That's the thing. It's like a double-edged sword.
But if you learn to pitch, you can go longer into the game. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's go back to pitching. Let's not talk about release point, velo, and all that stuff. It's affected the game dramatically, as we well know. But what you're doing is you're taxing your bullpen. One of the reasons that Baltimore is kind of scared is you see the wear and tear in their bullpen.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the Yankees are reeling. So what? Have you seen their bullpen? You know they've got the worst record in baseball except for the Chicago White Sox in the last 30 games?
Ooh, and I want to talk about the White Sox in a bit.
Okay, but just think about that. That's the mighty...
Oh, and we have news coming into the house that happened, Newswire. The Chicago Cubs land Nate Pearson from the Toronto Blue Jays.
You knew he was gone.
Yeah.
I think you're...
No word yet as to what the Jays are getting back.
Here's another thing. I think your boy Green's gone.
Yeah, I hear the Phillies are circling on him.
They're gone him in. Who's the other guy that we've got in the bullpen that everyone's at? Garcia's gone. They just traded Pearson, which you knew he was going to go. He spent his time in Toronto was done. The Dodgers are looking for somebody else in our bullpen, which I don't understand why. Green is one of the guys. And who else have we got in the bullpen? Oh, Cabrera, of all people. People are knocking us. Some people are saying he hasn't got enough chance in Toronto. I'm saying when he's come out, he's like the girl with the curl in her forehead. Sometimes you're very, very good. Sometimes you're ugly.
His ERA is pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he came up in a Dodgers thing because the Dodgers are scrambling to get the bullpen because once again, I'm saying they're wearing these bullpens out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Baltimore, I still say they're going to coast to the division, but I wonder how comfortable they're going to be when the playoffs start.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. I mean, the Yankees, like, for all their struggles, they're still only 2 games back.
Because Baltimore had their slump of the year. Every great team at the top has their little slump. I think Baltimore's is over. They're going to come out of it. Their schedule is to their advantage, like in the next month. You know what I think? But
this is going to come down to mid-September at least.
You know what? And that's really bugging me because I told you I'm going to wait till late in the year to buy a whole series to go see the 3-game series. What am I going to go see? Baltimore come to town to freaking bitch slap the Jays, or I'm going to watch? Oh, Philly's still got to come to town,
yep.
I believe. That could be the one that I'm looking at to go to just so I can see a team that might be winning the World Series. But outside of that, what do we got to cheer for the rest of the season?
It's better than Chicago, where they are 52 games under 500 and are on pace for the worst season or putting up a loss record in the modern era.
Some people say that this could be the worst winning percentage in the history of the big 4 sports in North America. That's where they're trending.
255 win percentage.
That's insane. When you ever in the worst of hockey teams, Washington back in the day, at least they were 300. And some of the baseball teams, even Baltimore in those days when they were horrible building their team, they were never that bad. This is like a colossal failure. Remember 2 years ago, they were considered, they could be the surprise team of the league.
I remember right when we started the show, they were considered one of the teams on the rise.
The rise, and look what happened. That's why I'm glad my beloved Detroit Tigers, who I will never, ever let go for the rest of my life, I'm glad they turned the ship. Like I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs because they got to get over Kansas City.
No, but they're around 500.
Yeah, they've seemed to straighten out the ship. Now, what are they going to do for the run going in? Are they going to make the playoffs? I'm not betting on that. You got Minnesota, you got Kansas City. I'd be very scared.
Yeah, Detroit 6.5 games out of the wild card. That's going to be tough.
I don't think they can race there, but I'm going to say this here first. That Kansas City team, nobody's going to want them to play them in the playoffs.
Or was I listening to? They were saying that like Kansas City wasn't anything special. I'm like, are we talking about the same team?
What? First of all, what they do is this. They make contact and they play defense. So their strikeouts is not one of the, like a lot of teams, their strikeout level is insane.
Yeah.
Kansas City's is not. Their ERA is edging to the top 10 in baseball. And they play solid defense and they play in that big park. Okay. In any event, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think Kansas City is going to be the sleeper here. But we got lots to talk about baseball. They'll be riding the show for probably a little bit while until we get into that monolith called the NFL.
Should be interesting come Tuesday at the trade deadline once more deals start to come in. But for now, we will move this on to the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics, which began with the opening ceremonies yesterday.
Welcome to the show, people. I know you didn't see the opening ceremonies. I watched them in their entirety. I still say, in my opinion, one of the greatest ones was England's opening. I will always remember that. I want to say that in this day and age, we have this thing called DEI, which is running rampant around the world. I think that France...
What does DEI stand for?
Dumb.
No, come on. What's it stand for those that don't know?
Okay, I don't know. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay. I thought that France did a remarkable job in recognizing something that is significant in our society. I'm not going to give my personal opinion on how far the pendulum has swung, because then you get into politics. Is something we don't want to deal with on our show. However, they did do a way of including a lot of aspects that included the whole world. I thought that very interesting. They did do every site in France that you could think is famous, including going into the Louis Vuitton factory to show the little boxes they were going to make to put the gold medals in. And did you know that the medals have also got a piece of the Eiffel Tower in them?
I had no idea.
When they were redoing all that stuff to do with the Eiffel Tower and stuff, they had to redo parts of it for structural purposes, like they got the big Olympics thing on it and stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently they melted some of this down and mixed it into the gold medal. So all the 2024 Olympic medal winners will have a piece of the Eiffel Tower for the rest of their lives.
It's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool too. I thought it was very interesting the way that they brought the boats down the river. That was a thing, and especially with the rain wreaking havoc on everything. It was totally pouring rain. You did not know anybody in the crowd even thought about the rain. I thought that was remarkable on the organizers, the fans, and the athletes. Everybody didn't care about the rain. Now, there's a few things that went on in the opening ceremony that I thought were, well, I'm not sure. For example, if you are France, let's go back to when you thought Brazil. Everybody that came down that walkway when they lit the cauldron had something to do with Brazil. China, everything they did in there had something to do with China. It's going to be in LA in 4 years, so I can't even imagine what's going to go on with Americana there. But I thought at times that some of the presentations, like, okay, LeBron is an Olympian. Coco Gauff is an Olympian. We see them every day.
But that's an American decision. That has nothing to do with the Paris organizing committee.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that what they did do is they put the boat on and they gave it to Rafael Nadal. Now, to your point, the greatest French Open player of all time, I'll give him a benefit of a doubt.
Yeah, I'll let that one slide.
Okay, but when he jumped in the boat and Serena was with him, now, I seen Nadia Comaneci, I seen Carl Lewis. I thought that was very, very cool. I brought out the 100-year-old oldest Olympian alive in France. He got up to the front so he could help light the cauldron. I thought that was cool. However, some of the other dramatics that went on during this game were going to be questioned. Number one is, have you ever heard of the refugee team?
No.
What is the refugee team?
I don't know. I don't understand.
Boat came down, big flag. Germany, Guam, British Guyana, the refugee boat. I kind of still wrapping my head around that, even though I respect the fact that those athletes should have the opportunity to go there.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you just think that's kind of weird?
Yeah, like you're representing refugees.
Then should have been somebody here from North Etobicoke. Should have been somebody here from North Etobicoke or Des Moines, Iowa.
My biggest problem with the opening ceremonies was just like it wasn't like you're supposed to show off like your country's culture. Why is Celine Dion there? She's Canadian.
Okay, so they went to the Louvre. They went to the famous Plume de la Lune, whatever they call that thing. They went underneath it. They were on the Seine River. They passed every major landmark in France. So if you want to talk about it from a geographical or a cultural point of view, they even had Marie Antoinette with her head cut off in her hands as they were going by, and all the red shot out at that. I thought that was kind of, I guess you're just trying to erase a part of your history. I don't know. Did you see that part?
No, I didn't see any of it.
I wish you could have seen some of it.
I was at work.
Okay, I was, and I was smoking.
You're retired. It's okay.
What? Yeah, smoking weed and had a guitar in my hand. Best way to watch any of the openings anyway. With my dog Stanley biting my guitar while I was watching it, but that's another story. There was an interesting thing that happened, and I'm not going to disrespect this from this level. The whole, what would you call it, Circus du Soleil, not necessarily that, but the...
Well, Cirque du Soleil's Canadian too, isn't it?
Yeah, based out of Quebec too, I believe.
Yep.
But there was an interesting that went on, and everybody knows the history of men dressing up as women has gone on since the beginning of time.
Yes.
Okay, that all originated in those cult shows or whatever they were doing.
Well, even like Shakespeare and whatever, because only the men were actors, right?
Exactly, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'll give them the benefit of that. However, there was an interesting thing that went on during the drag queens' completely crazy ass show, running up and down. They all went and sat down at the table as the guy carrying the flag that looked like, the Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Running down through the thing. I thought it was kind of odd how they sat down at that table in that position. It passed my mind as quick as I seen it until online someone said, did they respect the Last Supper? Did you see? Like, it's going to be out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be talked about. It was very interesting that all the drag queens sat down in the position that if you look at the classic painting from the Last Supper, very interesting they were in the same position as the Last Supper. I don't know if that was intentional.
I think it was.
What's that?
Well, I think it was, because if you think of the history of France, it's kind of like traditionally Catholic, but then now everyone there is atheist, right?
Agreed.
So it's kind of on brand if you think about it.
Don't you think it's kind of odd?
It's very odd. I'm not going to deny that.
That's the DEI working for you.
How?
Include everybody.
What does that have to do with the Last Supper, though?
They had diversity at the table at the Last Supper, didn't they?
Did they?
Well, I guess they were
They're all guys from the same area.
They were disciples.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever the case may be. I just thought that, I don't know if the furor over it is done. It hasn't reached any crescendo, and I hope it doesn't, because we don't want that stuff pouring into the Olympics, so to speak. You know what I mean? But in any event, not just the Americans, a few of the countries had people in there that already got their flowers. I think that they could have put, like, Lyles, the guy that's going for the 100 meters, maybe he should have carried the flag.
For the Americans?
For the Americans.
Yeah, because they went with LeBron and Coco Gauff, two fake Olympic athletes.
There you go.
Paid professionals in their own fields. Like, come on.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Like, Canada did it right. Andre DeGrasse and
Yes.
Ahmad Sharon.
Okay,
proper choices.
But England had Andy Murray.
He's an Olympic gold medalist, I guess. Twice he won, I believe, right? But
Back to your original thing is what?
Yeah, fake Olympic athlete.
Fake Olympic athlete. Okay, who was another country?
I hate Andy Murray, so whatever. But
Okay, Brazil had their soccer dude. One of their soccer dudes was there, but they did also have holding it in there, which gets back to DEI, because everyone had a girl and a boy.
Yeah, what's with that? Like, why do we need two flag bearers now? Like,
DEI, bro, DEI. It's swamping the planet. Good, bad, or ugly, or whatever your opinion on it.
I don't know, it's not very feminist. Are they saying the women need the man's help to carry the flag? Like, what is this?
Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, again, you're crossing a line. I'm trying to be good. Listeners, that's Milani talking, not Cruz. Can you get that straight? Save me from this blasphemy, okay? But you got a point.
It's weird.
It is. And France did everything in the games to, in the opening ceremony, to make sure that that was there in living color, so to speak, in every aspect that they went around in, all the dancing, all the singing. I thought that some of the piano players, I wonder what happened to those pianos in the pouring rain. We're talking about top-of-the-line Steinbergers and all those guys that make the pianos. Those were on display. They were getting poured on, and these guys were playing like Beethoven. Give them credit. Two highlights for me personally. I've always said I never wanted to hear the song Imagine again in my life. I'm just, okay, are we done with that yet? The performance by the French girl and the French piano player going down the river doing Imagine, if you didn't get a little hair raising up when you're watching this, very powerful. I will bring back the Imagine, the credit that it deserves, because apparently, like you were saying, they use it, my wife was saying, they use it every year to bring the people together. It's a song of bringing together anyway, so apparently it's been used before, I don't remember it. However, when you bring up Celine Dion, I thought it was odd too, because she is French, and I brought her over.
French-Canadian.
French-Canadian, which they call the Newfies. If you're in France, they talk about Quebec. They talk about Quebec like Newfies. You know that. Okay.
I know.
Okay. So they bring in Celine Dion, which is the top Newfie from Quebec, I guess you'd say it. God bless Newfoundland, by the way. I'm not saying that in derogatory manner because I love Newfoundland, and I've never met a Newfie I didn't like. Okay. But her performance rose hairs on my body. We already know the vocal gymnastics person that she is. Stunning performance. Stunning. I want to know anybody else on the planet could hit those notes still. Beautiful performance, under stress with her health conditions. First time in a public appearance since when? I don't know. Big shout out to Celine Dion.
But not a big shout out to CBC, who cut away when Canada came on for the Alberta wildfires. But we'll leave it at that.
TSN didn't. I think that was CBC.
Well, they're not. Yeah, it was CBC.
Okay, because once again, multi-screen Cruz here found it very interesting how they proceeded. Like for the first hour on the American networks, there was no commercial, thanks to Coca-Cola.
Yeah, sponsorship.
And some big finance company. And who am I missing? 3 big American juggernauts gave you the first hour. Whereas the other Canadian networks, I guess we don't have anybody that big to pay for the whole time there.
Come on, Timson, step up.
Canadian Tire? Yeah. Rogers!
Petro-Canada, come on.
Rogers!
Yeah,
okay.
Rogers, Bell.
They split the screens. TSN split the screens. I didn't watch CBC enough to notice that they cut away in that. I wasn't on CBC at the time. But what TSN did was they would split the screen. So when the commercials
came for F1?
Yeah, like they did that to make sure that was going, so I thought it was cool. But the Americans were just plain America.
Oh, yeah.
At their finest. So congratulations on France putting on an amazing show. It was really good, visually, thematically, and from an entertainment point of view. I thought the coolest thing of the whole thing, and I cannot deny this, when I play Beethoven, I hear Metallica. Everyone tells me I am freaking nuts. There is a band that my son turned me on to, a metal band. I think they're called Gojira. They're from France. The girl came down singing the traditional opera song of France, backed by the Gojira metal band. It was off the charts. I still get a chill. I told everyone, I was texting people, what did I tell you? Opera, classical, and metal are brothers and sisters, and they proved it yesterday at the opening ceremonies. If you get a chance to go back and check it out, those guys rock like mothers, and the girls sang over the top of it. It was so cool because I'm a music guy. I just had to throw that in there.
All right, so we'll move this on to the actual sports. Obviously, only a few preliminary things have happened, but we'll set the table here with Jannik Sinner out for the tennis tournament. So that means Novak Djokovic will be the number 1 seed for the men's singles.
I don't know if that should be appropriate when we got our boy Alcaraz there.
Well, it's based on world rankings. Djokovic is higher.
Yeah, for the moment.
Well, there you go. That's what it's based on.
Who do you predict will win?
Djokovic.
On clay. I'm saying Alcaraz.
Okay.
I might even put a bet in. I was already talking. BOH, you're listening? I'm going to call you up for the site. Give me the odds on Alcaraz winning it all. I should have put a bet in already because it's probably going to cost me $10 to win 9.
Probably.
That's how it's going to be there.
And then, of course, the big news this week was Soccer Canada's getting caught cheating. A drone caught spying on the New Zealand soccer team. The 2 people responsible were sent home. Head coach Beverly Priestman was originally just going to miss the first game, but now it looks like she's going home as well. And she's probably going to step down or be forced to step down from her position, if I had to guess. And the kicker is that apparently Canada has a history of this, and now John Herdman might get into some trouble, even though he hasn't been associated with the national team in a couple of years now.
I know. I heard that come up. You know what's even worse? The American broadcast could not go out of their way to discuss the cheating history of Canada in the Olympics. So we're not going to go there.
Wow. So big news coming in now, actually, about this. FIFA docks the women's team 6 points at the Olympics, so that basically cost them a spot in the knockout stage. And Beverly Priestman will be banned 1 year.
So what are we saying here? So we play 2 games and we get nothing? Then go home. Pack it up.
Well, you're already there already. You might as well play.
Only for the players. But look, they're behind the 8 ball. Okay, and they're the defending gold medals champions. By the way, there's another little thing I want to bring up. Canada won 24 medals at the last Olympics. Do you think they'll eclipse that?
I'll be optimistic, so I'll say yeah.
I'm going to say they're going to tie because it's going to go back there because
Oh, come on. Classic Cruz fence sitting.
because there's some people out there that we don't know. Maybe our Sylvia Bukochev from North Etobicoke here. Maybe she wins something on the volleyball screen. We don't know. Maybe one of our guys are going to rise up. Maybe we're going to find some surprises in the swimming pool. I don't know.
Well, swimming, we're supposed to be very strong.
Yes, that's going to be one because I don't think that Degrassi's going to be. I hope he gets a medal, but I'm saying when you look at the competition, I looked at the numbers from the World Track and Field Championships last year.
It's the Olympics, though.
I'm hoping that'll get him to rise up there, but I hope we do because the only other time that we had more medals was in 1984 when the Russians.
Hold on. How do we get off of soccer?
What's that?
How do we get off of soccer?
Because I'm just saying that's one gold medal that we're going to be less of, and I'm saying how many medals that we're going to get. There's one
men's basketball. We're going to have a good chance to medal.
Oh, that could. You jumped on me there because I was going to lead into we may lose this medal. But
let's keep focused with the women's national with the drone scandal now.
Okay, because that's going to just so the Americans to call us cheaters.
Fuck the Americans. I don't
That's
give a shit.
what I'm saying. So I mean, like, here's the deal. And I don't want to say this because wrong is wrong is wrong. Do you think we're the first person that used drones to check on another team?
No, I think we're just the ones that were stupid enough to get caught.
End of story. And that's a drag. So whoever was doing this, you deserve to get your asses kicked because you shouldn't have got caught. It's a terrible thing to say because now I'm bound.
Didier Drogba said too, he's like, it's not going to affect the games.
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. But
unless it's like going to come down to like a set piece or something, because that's the only way we're like, it would even be like worth it. Where like you get like a little thing about like, oh, this is what they do on the set piece or whatever, right?
I think that's the interesting point. I think that's the only advantage it's going to have. But then they've seen them in international competition enough. They've got the film. Can't they figure it out from there? That's what they do in the World Cup. You know what I mean? A certain team, and especially the Euros, certain teams defended a certain way against certain teams. Hence the reason Denmark didn't get as far as they did. It's my opinion. But did they use drones to figure out what Denmark was doing on defense? No, you just watch their record in the last couple of years. That's how we're going to play defense against them. Let's get back to that. I think that this drone thing is an embarrassment more than anything.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an embarrassment. I don't think it's going to affect the competition at all, personally.
Yeah, Christine Sinclair came out and said, too, that they've never seen, like, any drone video or anything. I can guarantee the players didn't even know this was happening. This was probably, like, kept behind closed doors with, like, some of the top coaching guys and whatever. For good reason. You don't want this to leak out.
And I bet you every other team in the things that put away the drones, we don't want to get caught. You know what I mean?
Or not. Maybe they just didn't get caught.
That's not an excuse for doing something morally wrong.
No.
We can't ignore that. So it's a huge blemish on the country.
Yeah.
You know, considering our history. You know what I mean?
That being said, it's only cheating if you get caught.
That's the baseball.
This is why we have referees, right? Otherwise, everyone would be cheating.
There you go. I got a point. It's just sad, man. It's just we're going into the Olympics, and what's the first thing we talk about our country, and just people piling on it. It personally as Canadian, it kind of hurt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like someone slapped
especially
me.
as gold medal defending gold medalist.
That's take it one step further. Now we don't get 6 points. If we win one game, we get 3 points. It's going to be hard to get into the qualifying.
Well, we need to win all 3 games, basically, just to get into the next round.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And we're not going to get points for 2 of them? Oh, that's a harsh penalty, people. All the girls on the soccer team that we know you probably had nothing to do with this, we feel your angst, we feel your pain, and I still hope you represent us the best way you possibly can.
Yep. And another blemish for Soccer Canada, unfortunately.
God, we're good at that, aren't we? Damn, you know what I mean? Where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, we never really shouted out the NFL. Training camps are starting. We should give that a quick little shout out.
Okay, and I think we should too.
I mean, there's not really much news there.
Oh, yeah, we got one big story, and I'm going to defend it, okay? One more person says anything about Hulk Hogan being at the Detroit Lions training camp, start watching F1. Shut up. You heard the furor over that, eh?
No, I didn't hear any of this.
You know Hulk Hogan didn't show up at the Lions training camp?
Hulk Hogan
showed up at the Lions training camp with his Lions bandana on, giving an inspirational speech about winning.
Cool.
Not according to everybody else on the planet. Considering
I know, however, it doesn't move the needle for me. I'm not a Lions fan, and I don't care for Hulk Hogan. So.
Well, you know my position on that whole game. I'm just saying that I thought it was kind of an interesting way to motivate the troops. That's all. You know what I mean? Especially fresh off his magnanimous speech at the Republican convention. I guess they thought that they could fire up. I mean, they don't need Kid Rock. He's from Detroit anyway, right?
Sure.
Okay, you know what I mean? Interesting thing about the training camps, though, is already the furor about, I wonder what's going to come up in the next contract about the, I'm having a brain fart. You know when you sign the guy automatically?
Franchise tag?
Franchise tag. Something's got to shake on this.
Oh, with the holdouts?
The holdouts. You got it. Now, I'm saying management, you guys screwed up. So what teams are we talking about?
Dallas.
Cincinnati. San Francisco.
Yep.
These guys aren't what you'd call your run-of-the-mill players that we're talking about here.
No, very skilled players.
Last time I checked, most of them were all pros.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we supposed to believe?
CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk.
Higgins.
T. Higgins.
There's a lineman, too. A big lineman. Is it on San Diego?
Either way.
Another big, like an all-pro lineman. He's not suddenly coming to camp either. The question is, this goes back to salary cap, of course. We start with that. However, what does it do for your fan base?
I mean, it's not good news.
Well, word around the campfire is one of the first people, and I hate to bring him up because everyone knows how biased I am this way. One of the people that they said took a look over at Ayuk was my beloved Detroit Lions. And I heard John Lynch shut the door. It wasn't just Detroit. Green Bay was in there too.
Of course.
But, I mean, any team that's got aspirations to go have a deep run in the playoffs will want Ayuk on their team, right? San Francisco's just shut the door. Cincinnati has just shut the door. Dallas, I don't know, because that's Dallas and Jerry Jones. So anything could come out of that situation. My point is this, okay? There's a CBA. There's rules and regulations. You guys sign contracts. Play them out. You know what I mean? Play them out. Do the Mitch Marner. You know what I mean? That's all you can do. And if you want to leave next year, that's perfectly fine. That's your right as a free agent, blah, blah, blah. But I'm tired of always like salary cap, franchise tag, blah, 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 blah. And the salary cap's going to jump next year bigger than ever because the new football deal's coming up for football.
There you go.
So, like, what do? You hold out, you keep the guy playing for 1 year, hoping that you have the money next year to pay him? I don't know. Because the other thing that has happened that in this preseason that we should talk about, which is going to screw everything up, is Jordan Love's contract and Tua Tagovailoa's contracts. They both signed.
Big money.
Do you think either one of them deserved it?
Jordan Love's very good.
10-game window. 10-game. He's getting $50 million a year based on 10.
I think he's going to be worth the money.
Okay, I'm not going to say it tonight.
He had that one little bump in the road mid-season, but then he bounced right back better than ever.
I think he's a great player. I hope he doesn't play good because he's in my division. Let's just cut to the chase on that. However, it's seriously... When the owners talk about the salary cap, they're their own worst enemies.
Oh, I know.
So I can't be saying, like, you're going to pay the guy. No, I don't know. I think that Jordan Love got more guaranteed money than Tua because Tua's they just put out the sheet about, can we check your injury?
Yeah.
The injury report. Can you talk about how reliable you are? You got any more games? Blah, 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 blah. So what you're going to do now is the other guys that are come up for their contracts, what do you pay the next guys? You know what I mean? Now, let's not begrudge anybody that any nickel they're going to get because the NFL careers are shorter than anybody in pro sports. We understand that. So get your money when you can. But when an owner comes out and starts giving me his BS, and then the agent comes out and gives me his BS, I say, shut up. It's about money. Learn how to management, and let's talk about what goes on the field.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now I think it's time to move it to my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment. It's the gospel according to Cruz.
Okay, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because I'm going to include my accomplice in this discussion about the Olympics because, first and foremost, when we talk about the house that happens and why we created this show, I say it over and over again, and someday when we get our shirts done, it'll be on the back, is we deal in the highest level of competition. So let's just talk about this. The Olympics are ultimately the highest level of competition. What is the theme? Higher, faster, stronger. We now have corporate sponsorships. The way that it's moved has been very, very different, say, than when I started. So let's go back to my evolution of believing in the Olympics since it started, okay? So I was very fortunate that my dad was a scholar, so I got reading material all the time. So one of the things I got was very young was Sports Illustrated, which was probably the preeminent sports magazine in North America at the time. So every week that it came in, it was like having a preview for what was going on into the Olympics. So you're very excited about things. For example, what happened in 1972, which is the first time I really paid attention to the Olympics. I understand that Tommy Carlos and the Black Power and George Foreman going around 1968, but that's a vague memory. I mean, I was 9 years old, whatever the case may be. But I do remember the 72 Olympics when it started for me. I was very excited because you get to see all these guys that were playing in the basketball tournament suddenly playing in the Olympics. You had all these guys that were having in the Pan American Games, got wiped out by the World Championships. You already recognized them because you were saying before. So you had the first thing is, nobody likes Speedos, but who could not remember the famous Mark Spitz Speedo with the 7 gold medals around his chest? It was an epic thing. It was on everywhere. Never would show up in today's world. I'm just going to say that. But that was one of the little things that you understood. You understood that Bob Seagren's Olympic pole got taken away because when he came into the country, they said, oh, Germany did not approve your pole. If you know anything about pole vaulting, you got to use that a bunch of times. He was a reigning gold medal champion, had to use a brand new pole, got taken out. But the worst thing that happened in 1972 that totally changed my mind about the Olympics, or was the beginning of it all, was the massacre at the Israeli house this year. Did you know right now in the Olympics this year that the Israeli delegation has twice the security that any team in the Olympics, including the Americans, which is a sad state of affairs when we're talking about the highest level of competition. So then what went on from there? Well, I'm really excited for the next Olympics because it's going to be in Canada, the Montreal Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Biggest debacle in the history of our country. Oh, by the way, is there a roof on the dome in Montreal? Oh, yeah, they got that little plastic thing they pull over.
A little sheet.
Yeah, what was it supposed to be? Did you ever see the original design?
Yeah, it was supposed to come up.
Oh,
yeah.
It was amazing design. What happened to it? The politics and the corruption of Quebec did not get the goddamn stadium done. So as a kid, as a 17-year-old kid thinking maybe I could sneak up to Montreal to see the games, not understanding the money, and I'm working at Ponderosa Steakhouse, so I don't think I'm going to have the money to get there. It was the first blemish for me because now what happens is politics took away from the actual higher, faster, stronger. And this is in my own country, and as we previously discussed, we've already got blemishes going on from the rest of the time. By the way, has Canada ever had a boo at the Summer Olympics since the 76 games? No.
Toronto, there was a decent chance.
We're going to get it one day. That's coming because we are the greatest.
I hope not.
We're the greatest sports landscape in the country, aren't we?
I just wouldn't look forward to the traffic that would be associated with the Olympics.
So this is my take on the Olympics. And then what ends up happening in the next couple of Olympics? We got wars going on. So what ends up happening is we get the Olympics in 1980 in Russia. Nobody shows up because you're Russian. Then it comes back in 1984. What ends up happening? None of the communist countries come because they're protesting against the Americans.
Yeah, LA 84.
Exactly. So the whole spirit of the Olympics, higher, faster, stronger, gets kicked in the face by a bunch of people that are causing wars around the world, which once again makes me go, oh my God, what happened to higher, faster, stronger? Okay, take it one step further. We have one of the greatest 100-meter races in the history of the world go down. What does that turn into?
Seoul 88, and then Ben Johnson testing positive.
Oh, my God.
Although he was drugged, most likely.
Okay, but anyway, the case may be.
And 6 of the 8 guys were doping anyways, we found out.
Got back to our original question is what? You got caught.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, it puts a blemish on my thing because I don't think you were old enough to actually watch live time the Ben Johnson Carl Lewis race.
I wasn't even born.
Oh, that's right. You weren't even born. Okay. If you had to be there, I was DJing that night. We shut down everything, turned on all the screens because it was coming in prime time, by the way. It was prime time from LA. Here we go in the Olympics, right?
Seoul,
yeah.
South
Okay.
Korea.
Yeah, so anyways, it was sorry about that. So it was on prime time. Everybody's waiting for this race. Me, I had the unmitigated audacity to bet on Carl Lewis. Okay, which caused a furor afterwards because as soon as he got disqualified the next day, all the beers that I paid for losing in the bar, I couldn't get back. You know what I mean? I'll bet you a beer, I'm taking Carl Lewis. And of course, being a Canadian, being the DJ on the microphone, you know me. Yeah, I love Canada, but nothing good comes after but, as we all well know, and Ben did it there. So we just added on to the debacles that became Canada in the Olympics. Then we kept going on to the other places. Then we find out that structures can't be built because countries that got the Olympics couldn't afford it. So what are we doing? We're going to get into facilities that were not as great as they could have been because the countries could not back up the promises that they made.
When was this?
Brazil was one of them a few years ago. They raced to get to the end. Australia had some troubles, but they came in the back door, got their shit together. But what ended up happening is all the great Olympic competitions that I prided myself in wanting to watch got a little bit tainted for me as an athlete guy wanting to watch the games. And
like what?
Like I didn't, okay, what's going to go on in the track and field event? How many guys are juiced?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
you can say that for any sport, though.
Okay, but it takes away from the fact that I want to enjoy higher, faster, stronger.
It's making it even higher, faster, and stronger.
We're going to get to those games very soon.
Baby.
Okay. We're all going to love that. But what ended up happening is every time that we got to an Olympic game, something political come up. So my point being is, my enthusiasm for the Olympics is not as great as it was at 65 as it was at 25. And I think that's very disappointing for me on a personal level because I'm screaming highest level of competition all the time. My biggest fear this time is we've got some serious problems going on in the world today. We just had an attempted assassination of a potential president of the United States. The Israeli team has got double the double security than anything that's ever happened in the history of the Olympics. So my biggest fear is this. Can we please have the French Olympics show us some of the greatest performances and higher, faster, stronger that doesn't get affected by any kind of a protest, any kind of violent eruption, or anything that's political that's going to affect the Olympics? Am I dreaming?
I don't know, because I think they're hoping this is kind of like the modern version of the LA 84 games where it kind of happened under similar circumstances where no one really wanted to host the games. They're using a lot of existing infrastructure to do it. And it kind of made the world kind of fall in love with the Olympics again. I think that's what they're kind of hoping for. Because there's been, considering there hasn't been too many controversies coming into this one. There's the whole thing about the Seine River and whatever. But besides that, it's been pretty quiet on the controversy front.
Okay, Mark Spitz was part Jewish. They had to rush him out of the camp in 72. Why? Was I expecting as a 13-year-old that I'm going to see guys coming up with guns, blowing people away in the Olympic Village? It's insane. Mm-hmm. So I'm just worried about, when did your interest start in the Olympics?
Oh, as a youngster.
So what was the first
Sydney 2000 was the one that I remember.
Oh, yeah. That was a great Olympics, by the way, even though there was a lot of...
Simon Whitfield winning gold in the triathlon.
Oh, that was amazing. Not only that, I remember Greg Joy winning last time we had a high jump winner was Greg Joy in 76 at the Montreal Olympics. He was everything with the flag. It made us completely forget about all the other bullshit going on because what Greg Joy did. That's what I want.
What nation was he?
Canada.
No, but they didn't win gold at
No,
Montreal.
but he medaled. He medaled,
okay.
And he wasn't even. He came out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't even on the radar, and suddenly he won a medal, which was huge. That's one of my indelible moments about the Olympics in Canada. He changed everything for me. And our sprinters weren't quite on the level that they were today. We had better training and stuff like that. But Sydney for 2000 and you. Was for your first time going, wow, this is going on? I know you were at work, but were you excited when you go, okay, the Olympics are coming? Maybe we should have said a little bit more in our show. I'm excited, but I'm not excited. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm excited by specific events.
Okay, which brings me back to the other thing. Why is we only watch certain events every 4 years and we don't watch them on a regular basis?
Marketing.
That's sad because I told you as you're coming in here, you're I guess you would call your lineage, your country, Italy. Already this morning, I got up and seen a spectacular volleyball competition between them and Brazil. I was riveted. The intensity of the thing. That's what I want from the Olympics. I don't want someone running down the middle of the track during the marathon with a Palestinian flag or a Ukrainian flag or a Russian flag or the refugee flag. because I really think they have no part of the Olympics, but politics and corporate money has completely changed the picture in my lifetime.
Well, politics and the Olympics go hand in glove. They always have.
Since 36 with Hitler in Berlin.
Since the ancient days of the original Olympics, I would even go back to.
Which is really a sad state of affairs when all we want is the highest competition. So you started for you in Sydney, but like, are you excited? Like, are you like,
this is the first Olympics I've been excited for in a long time, I'll admit.
Okay, I think it is too. And I think that I'm going to lend this to my accomplice, Mr. Milani, because we're going to want to report on a lot of this stuff. So it's drawn me to the screen a little bit more than I normally would be. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to look at the big events. I'm going to look at the 100-meter final.
Yep.
I'm going to look at the swimming.
Yep.
I'm going to look at the gymnastics. I love watching pole vaulting.
Breakdance?
Stop it. Okay, you're killing me now because I was just going to say, that was going to be my conclusion is, why do we have to have stuff like synchronized swimming, break dancing, and what's a couple other these foolish things they do? Are they really sports?
That breakdancing, I wonder if that's because I should have looked into this before the show, to be honest. But usually, like the host country has some say about like a couple of the new sports coming in. I wonder if like it's just like big in France or something. I don't know. That was my initial thought.
They had a major French rapper at the opening games. Like this, I don't know where it came from. I don't even know who the guy was. This guy come out and two-packed it. Just went crazy. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Rap's pretty big in France. But they all rap in French.
Yeah.
It's all that way.
Oh, I know that because of FIFA. There's some good French rap songs that come through.
Oh, so yeah, I know this. He was like, I don't even know who the guy was, but like this guy's like the Tupac of France. He come out and just frickin' freestyled, went
Tupac,
crazy.
Not Tupac.
Tupac, whatever. My
Tupac. You said it wrong again.
I love you, Shakur. I like you. Anyways,
Tupac Shakur.
My ending on this is what I'm hoping for, that when we get here next week to do our show, we're strictly talking about the great performances that we've seen, world records that are broken, and unknown people that suddenly become stars. And hopefully when we get to the next Olympics, they will be the real flag bearers and not the fake Olympians that we see 365 days a year making millions of dollars in their sports.
We say that and then watch it like Crosby's going to be like the flag bearer for Canada or something.
He got the golden goal. Like if he was there,
he's a paid professional. Shouldn't it be like a speed skater or something doing it? Anyways, but.
Okay, I agree with you there. So anyways, what we're going to get here is, due to the grace of God, who I'm not even sure exists, or to whoever the higher power that is vacillating the minds of the DEI people, I'm hoping and praying that we have an outstanding Olympics based on the performance of the athletes. Nothing to do with Coca-Cola, nothing to do with Afghanistan, nothing to do with why Africa's never had the Olympics.
Well, money, infrastructure, there's a lot of problems there.
So I'm going to conclude it this way. I'm going to go to the Olympic Committee when our show is now a house that's building into a mansion. My first thing is going to say, America, France, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Italy, Finland, Sweden, all pour your money into one big pot and build an Olympic compound in Greece that'll set the test of time. And for just like when it was back in the 1800s when they invented the Olympics, we all go to Greece because they were the ones that came up with the statement, higher, faster, stronger.
I have a little bit of a different take about how they should do it, where it should just be like each country hosts, and then you just have the different events in different places. Like it doesn't have to be in one central city. You have everyone like the opening and closing ceremonies in one place, and after that, everyone kind of spreads out and goes like, oh, like let's say Canada hosted the Winter Olympics, for instance. So like you could have the hockey in Toronto, you could do the skiing in Whistler, blah, 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 blah.
I think that takes away from the spirit of the Olympic Village. I like your that would...
Well, no one wants to host. I'm trying to solve that problem.
Oh, I got you there. But you see, we're the masters of holding the... Look at our Winter Olympics. They've been great. Like, you know, Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver is huge, yeah.
Yeah, and Calgary was great when it was day there. Why have we had a Summer Olympics again? Thank you, John Drapeau.
Yeah, but Toronto got close for 2008. They lost by only like a few votes to China.
Oh, that's why I'm saying I'm hopeful. Hopefully, I'll be alive when we get the Olympics because the Olympics.
Nah, I hope not. I hope I'm long dead before Toronto gets the Olympics.
Are you worried about the traffic and the costs?
Yeah.
Well, we just seen what happened when we're having a World Cup here in a couple of years, and they won't even open the books to tell us.
Even worse, the Pan Am Games.
Oh, but the Pan Am Games, they were like if we had the Pan Am Games in 1982, that would have been amazing because you're not old enough to understand.
Okay, but even just like the traffic and everything, it was ridiculous just trying to get around the city for those 2 weeks. And that was the Pan Am Games, not even the Olympics.
Drive downtown today and get to an event, and what do we have? It's Saturday in Toronto. Go downtown, right?
Okay, but I'm saying imagine that times 10 for 2 weeks.
I'll be in Gravenhurst. In any event, please enjoy the Olympics.
I will.
One more thing I got to shout out before we go is we got to make a date because we haven't decided. We got to have my good buddy, my son's best friend, Kevin Pick, on the air.
I told you this is up to you.
Okay, then I'll talk to him because it's a matter of doing it on a Saturday or a Thursday. Now, word around the campfire in San Fran, people message Mr. Milani on his House That Happens on WhatsApp thing. They want to drag you out to San Fran for another show. That's
fine. It's got to be on a Saturday.
On a Saturday, but I will talk to Pick to go there. But most importantly of all, because he's doing a tremendous job of promoting the MCM Memorial Golf Tournament in my son's name. It's rapidly approaching. I'm loving all the interest that we're getting from people that are around. I will promote it a little bit more, but not only, I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Milani, I hope we get him and Paul Semenuk, who is giving me some of the craziest fantasy football trade offers before the draft that you have ever seen. So guys, Semenuk, you're killing me. You're killing me. Oh, by the way, just to let you know what kind of thing we're talking about, I have the first round draft pick.
First overall pick, you mean?
Second overall pick in this year's draft. One of the names that Mr. Semenuk has thrown into the hat is Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm saying. So in any event,
that high.
What's that?
Not that high.
He wants to get my draft choices, and he'll give up Mahomes.
Oh, I see.
That's
no,
what's
don't
going.
do that.
I don't know either. We're going to talk about. But anyways, Kev, we're going to have you on in the very soon. We're going to promote the MCM. Zach, I told you maybe you should show up at that show too, just to have a couple of words in. And if we have it at San Fran, we can include everybody. And everybody on the San Fran team that doesn't like what I say about the team or does like about the team, we'll give them the opportunity to put in their 2 cents, won't we?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
You got it. And that thing is, I considered the fact that we had nothing to talk about this week, and look at the runtime on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I think people are going to enjoy it. What do you think?
I hope so. I sincerely think they will, too. So.
Well, my mouth is dry, and I have to stop.
So I'm out of water, so.
And it's time that it's beer time almost, isn't it?
Beer o'clock soon, yep.
Good luck to the Toronto Argonauts this afternoon. Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
That's just about it.
Well, as we like to say, my name is Cruz.
And I'm Andrew Milani.
And what do?
We keep the vibe alive.
Thanks, everyone.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.